Surankot rush to the spot is also what we're learning. Gursimran, my colleague, is joining me on the phone line on the broadcast. Gursimran, tell us more details about this live grenade destroyed by the Indian Army.
See, a major tragedy has been averted by the Indian Army along with the Jammu and Kashmir police. It was yesterday evening when a live grenade was found in the residential area of Surankot, and the area is Kolkata. After which the Jammu and Kashmir police along with the Indian Army, they were rushed to the spot, and yesterday at around midnight, this live grenade was destroyed using the controlled explosion, thus averting a major tragedy by the Indian Army and Jammu and Kashmir police.
Well, all right, Gursimran there getting us the details of this live grenade that has been destroyed by the Indian Army. Now, live grenade, in fact, which was found at the village Kalarkatal in Poonj is what we're learning. Local police have informed locals, in fact, have informed the police, and the SOG party of the police station has rushed to the spot is the latest that we are learning, viewers. Of course, we will be keeping a track of this developing story from Jammu and Kashmir. And viewers, we are getting you the latest as far as the grenade is concerned. The live grenade, in fact, that had been destroyed by the Indian Army. And we are putting out the visuals for you as well, viewers, as we had seen just yesterday as well, how there had been explosives that had been recovered by the authorities. And of course, security is in high alert since 15th August is also just around the corner. And we are seeing that more and more such incidents that alert the security risks there in the valley are also coming to light, but the authorities are on their toes. And as we had been breaking earlier as well, that this live grenade that had been found by the authorities is destroyed by the Indian Army. Now, this is another such a live grenade that had been found in a village in Kalarkatal in the Poonj district. And the locals had informed the police, post which the police officials had taken swift action and had destroyed this live grenade after an SOG party of the police station had rushed to the spot as well. Now, viewers, we are tracking an unfortunate incident that had come to light from Kolkata as well, where one CISF Jawan had also been injured, and we are also learning that an officer had died after the CISF Jawan had opened fire near the Indian Museum at around 6:30 p.m. We're getting you all the details in this report.
A CISF Jawan allegedly shot a high-ranking officer and injured another officer at the Indian Museum in Kolkata. The Jawan used his AK-47 rifle to kill the assistant sub-inspector rank official, while the assistant commandant rank officer suffered minor bullet injury. The shooter, Head Constable A.K. Mishra, surrendered after CISF Inspector General Sudhir Kumar reached the spot and appealed to him to put down his gun. The accused Jawan is alleged to have snatched the weapon from his colleague and emptied the entire magazine. The incident took place around 6:45 p.m. in the barracks at the museum, which is India's oldest and largest such facility. The CISF took over the armed security of the museum in December 2019. The museum, located in the heart of Kolkata, is an autonomous organization under the administrative control of the Union Ministry of Culture.
The injured's wife, how she got to know about the entire operation, the entire incident. She said that she didn't have any idea of anything. She didn't know about anything. There was no tension. There was nothing. There was no personal dilemma or something like this. There was nothing that she got to know. But finally, suddenly, she got to know that there was a firing, and she rushed to SSKM.
Bureau Report, Republic TV.
Well, Viewers, this incident had taken place after the service rifle was also shot at by this particular person, and of course we had seen how the repercussions of the same had taken place. Let's take a look at this ground report filed by my colleague Mayuk from Kolkata.
Right now, I'm standing in the place of occurrence. That's the Indian Museum. Right now, this is the Keith Street. This is the second gate from where this entire thing was formulated. You can see the amount of police vehicles right now here. It's almost 5, and you can see a lot of police vehicles right now. More police personals are entering the spot. And right now, what we are understanding from our sources is that most importantly, what led to this altercation and then this sad incident, this incident of firing, indiscriminate firing, is that what we have come to know from our sources is that this man was trying to get a leave, and then he was denied a leave. That is what we are learning, and then there was some kind of a reaction that led to this entire situation. But we are yet to confirm this from our CISF sources as well as from the Kolkata police sources. I just want to show you the area right now. What we are finding right now is, see, this is the second gate of Indian Museum. On one hand, Abhishek, why I'm saying that this is a national story. On one hand, it's the Indian Museum. You can see on the other hand, it's the MLS residential area. Most of the MLAs of BJP, mostly BJP, they stay here. It's the MLA hostel, which is quite a state legislature's hostel, which is a high security zone, and most of the MLAs, they stay here. The CRPF Jawans stay here. The security personnel, they stay here. And on the other hand, on my left hand side is Park Street, where most of the revelry happens, the weekend parties happen. So it's quite a busy area. It's in the heart of Kolkata what this incident happened, and we need to find out the exact reason for this man to fire 30 rounds of bullet from his AK-47. But what we are getting in from our sources, what we are getting in from the police is that this CISF Jawan, he was from Odisha, and the AK Mishra is his name. He was a head constable. His debriefing is still on. The CISF Jawans are inside, and also the Kolkata police staff, they are also inside. Joint Civic Crime, Muralidhar Sharma was there. He went out of Indian Museum. We tried to contact the Indian Museum authorities, and they also reacted, saying that this is a very shocking incident, and most importantly, this incident is one of its kind. You can see this entire deployment here. On one hand, you can see the CISF Jawans, the paramilitary Jawans, they're standing. This is the gate from where all these activities are happening, and on the other hand, we have the reporters also, where they are trying to find out more on this entire thing. And Abhishek, just to give you a context, this happened at around 6:40, the time when we broke this news. At that point of time, you were asking for a reassurance that whether any civilians were dead or any civilians have been injured. I'm again confirming that not a single civilian has been injured, but yes, one commandant level officer of Indian Museum, he was an employee of ASI, he has been injured and he has been admitted at SSKM. And on the other hand, one of the CISF Jawans, he has succumbed to his injuries. He was taken to SSKM hospital and he has succumbed to his injuries. And you can see the entire stretch of this road filled with Central Force Jawans. You can see the cars of Kolkata police, the Central Force Jawans are there. All the security the personnel, they are flocking the roads, and most importantly, curious faces, Abhishek. These are faces from MLA hostel. People from MLA hostel, they are standing here and they are trying to get a sense of what is happening. Is it on? Is it off? However, Kolkata police has done a news briefing. They have done a briefing, and Police Commissioner Vineet Goyal, they have said that the man has been caught, he has surrendered. The CISF Jawan has respectfully been cordoned off. He has been asked to de-armed, and then he has been taken to a safe custody, and this safe custody is in the Park Street police station, from where he will be taken to SSKM. That is what we are learning. See, right now, more security personnel are here, and we can see some activity right now here, and mostly Central Force Jawans are there. Most of them still standing here, cordoning the gates. This is the gate from where this entire activity started, and we can see more number of that's National Council of Science Museum car that is entering the spot. You can see this car. This also belongs to the Indian Museum authorities, the authority from Indian Museum who are standing here. They are coming back to office. It's a Saturday. Most of the government offices are closed right now, but most of the top officers of National Museum, they are reaching out.
Now viewers, shifting our focus to the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav and how the spirit of patriotism has percolated in each one of the Indians and how students are also celebrating this. Watch this very heartwarming video from Gujarat's Vadodara, where in fact several of the students have made a human chain to celebrate the Independence Day. Time now here for a short break, viewers, at the Morning Express, getting you details on the other side of how the Prime Minister Narendra Modi is set to chair the NITI Aayog meet. Agenda is to discuss the implementation of the national education policy. History will be scripted today as ISRO is set to launch India's newest rocket SSLV, marking a tribute to the occasion of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav.
Reading allows us to become familiar with ourselves.
We don't read, we won't know what is knowledge.
I just find it very interesting to know people's lives, how they went through certain situations, how they dealt with things.
So wherever you want to go in life, if you read books along those lines, then that would really help you in growing.
Reading could mean a million different things to every individual. What does it mean to you? Visit readindia.info to find out more.
मेरे साथ एक ऑफिसर था, मैंने उससे पूछा क्या मतलब है वॉर मेमोरियल में खाली पत्थर लगाना। उसने बोला कि सर ये वादा है फौज का, ये वादा है इंडियन आर्मी का कि और कितने भी नाम इस पत्थर पे लिख दिए जाएं, ये तिरंगा ऐसे ही लहराता रहेगा।
There is a joke in Pakistan and they say that whenever America gives aid to Pakistan, whenever there are dollars flowing or whenever America gives any sort of help, when Saudi Arabia, when China, when the UAE gives Pakistan aid or loans, the property prices in London and Dubai go up. That is the level of corruption of Pakistan. So what has happened in the recent past is those dollars have dried up. Today as I speak to you, the Pakistani rupee is trading 250 to the US dollar. And today Pakistan is unable absolutely to take advantage of its geopolitical location, the geopolitical rent, as I would like to put it.
Top stories that we're tracking for you viewers at the Morning Express. The Prime Minister Narendra Modi is set to chair, in fact, the NITI Aayog meet. Agenda is to discuss the implementation of the national education policy. Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar and Telangana Chief Minister to boycott the meeting, demonstrating agitation against the central government. And history will be scripted today as ISRO is set to launch India's newest rocket SSLV, marking a tribute to the occasion of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. AK-47 firing spree in Kolkata. One officer martyred after CISF Jawan opens fire in city's National Museum. In a big development, ex-Union Minister RCP Singh resigns from the JDU after a notice over discrepancies in properties. And viewers, straight away cutting across to some breaking updates that we are getting for you, where a Central Industry Security Force or the CISF personnel was shot dead while another was injured when their colleague opened fire inside of the Indian Museum and CISF barrack in Kolkata on Saturday evening. Now, this is an incident from yesterday that we are tracking for you, viewers, where the CISF personnel was shot dead while another was injured and sustained severe injuries as well when their colleague, another CISF personnel, had opened fire inside of the Indian Museum with an AK-47 that he had in his hand, and he had opened fire, and at least 30 rounds of firing that had been done by the CISF personnel. And now the update that we are getting is that the CISF personnel in fact had been shot dead while another was injured when their colleague had opened fire inside of the Indian Museum CISF barrack in Kolkata on Saturday evening. Saikat, my colleague, is also joining us from the ground. Saikat, tell us more about the developments as far as this shooting spree is concerned, because yesterday we had seen the CISF personnel had fired at least 30 rounds of bullets with that AK-47. What are the authorities doing now? Where has the incident reached?
At first, one thing that CISF personnel arrested, and his name is Akshay Kumar Mishra, CISF head constable, was fired not 30 round, it was 15 round fired, and one of his colleague injured. He is admitted right now at SSLV hospital, and one of his colleague has died at the spot. And right now, Kolkata police personnel, Kolkata police detective department personnel bring him to Lal Bazar, Kolkata police headquarters for interrogation. Joint CP crime of Kolkata police will interrogate him, and other detectives of Kolkata police will interrogate this CISF personnel AK Mishra he will and Kolkata police personnel's detectives are want to know what was the actual reason. And as per sources, we get the information that for the last several months he was quite in pressure mentally for his family matters, and last 4 days before his father was died, and he want some leave to his superior, but he don't get any leave. This was the actual reason of this firing. Police personnel with Joint Civil Crime Kolkata police interrogating him. He will produced at court, and police will taking him in their custody. And as per sources, police will interact with a psychiatrist with these personnel to get more information and to get the actual reason of this firing.
Well, Saikat, you're pointing out some very important details from yesterday as far as this firing spree is concerned. But tell us about the aftermath as of now, because what is the CISF authorities doing as of now? You're pointing out the kind of mental status that the Jawan had been going through, because of which he had opened fire as well. Speak to us about what the authorities are saying.
See, CISF personnel are in meeting with Kolkata police. After some hours, they will meet Kolkata police higher officials. And as per sources, CISF may suspend this Jawan, this AK Mishra, but till it's not confirmed. But as per sources, we had came to know that this Jawan may be suspended from his work, and right now CISF personnel are in touch with Kolkata police personnel, higher officials to move the interrogation and to move the investigation process. And as per sources, CISF personnel, CISF higher officials may suspend this CISF personnel AK Mishra for his firing incident. And if this police person, this CISF person will get suspended, then they will came to know, and they will try to came to know that what was the actual reason of this firing at Indian Museum, Kolkata.
Right, Saikat there getting us the details as far as this firing spree is concerned from Kolkata, where the CISF personnel, we're learning, of course, unfortunately has lost his life, and the other is admitted in the hospital as well. Thank you, Saikat, for joining us on the broadcast with those details. And viewers, shifting our focus now to what's happening with the Prime Minister chairing the NITI Aayog Governing Council meeting today. And we are being told that there are two main agendas that are going to be discussed. The most important one of being the national education policy's implementation in the country as well. Here's more on the same.
Prime Minister Modi will be chairing the NITI Aayog Governing Council meeting today in a bid to pave way for a new era of collaboration between the centre and states and union territories. The meeting will discuss several issues faced by the states, including crop diversification and the national education policy. While the aim of the event is to chalk out a roadmap ahead, there are some who have chosen to play politics instead. Telangana Chief Minister K. Chandrasekhar Rao has told Prime Minister Modi that he will be boycotting the meeting as a sign of protest against what he called the discriminating trend of the centre towards the states. The BJP was, however, quick to hit back, stating that by doing so he was violating the spirit of cooperative federalism.
तेलंगाना के मुख्यमंत्री श्री के चंद्रशेखर राव जी ने आज घोषणा की कि वो नीति आयोग की बैठक में कल उपस्थित नहीं होंगे। बहुत दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण है कि वो अपनी राजनीतिक सोच इससे उजागर करते हैं कि विकास के कामों में, देश को प्रगति की ओर लेके जाने के कामों में भी उनको कोई रुचि नहीं रही।
ये जो कोऑपरेटिव फेडरलिज्म का एक भाव है जिससे श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी पूरे देश को नेतृत्व दे रहे हैं, उसमें ना सम्मिलित होना ये जो संघीय ढांचा है उसको खंडित करता है। केसीआर जी को एक बात और याद रखनी चाहिए, चाहे देश के प्रधानमंत्री हों या किसी प्रदेश का मुख्यमंत्री हो, वो जनता के ऊपर नहीं होता।
West Bengal Chief Minister, who is in the national capital, has raised many eyebrows after her party chose not to support Margaret Alva in the vice presidential elections. From calling on the Prime Minister to confirming her attendance at NITI Aayog meeting, unlike last time, all eyes are on her every move.
It was at the very end, West Bengal turn came up, and by the time almost all the chief ministers attending the meeting and all the important people, they left the meeting. And we have complained. And if you remember, the government of West Bengal took and Legislative Assembly took that decision to change the name to Bangla.
Meanwhile, Punjab Chief Minister Bhagwant Mann said he will raise several issues, including legal guarantee to MSP for crops. While Bihar Chief Minister and JDU President Nitish Kumar is unlikely to attend the meeting, he has cited his COVID-19 recovery behind his decision. All eyes will be on the meeting as it seeks to improve centre state's governance and chart the way ahead. Bureau Report, Republic TV.
Here's some news from across the country in brief. With the crop diversification, self-sufficiency of oilseed, pulse and agri communities, implementation of the National Education Policy and Urban Governance topping the agenda of the 7th Governing Council meeting, Prime Minister Modi is set to chair the NITI Aayog meet today. Massive row has now erupted over the NITI Aayog meet with Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar and Telangana Chief Minister KCR's decision to skip the meeting. While Nitish Kumar stated recovery from COVID the reason for his absence, KCR called this a mark of protest against the present discrimination trend of the centre towards the state.
तेलंगाना के मुख्यमंत्री श्री के चंद्रशेखर राव जी ने आज घोषणा की कि वो नीति आयोग की बैठक में कल उपस्थित नहीं होंगे। बहुत दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण है कि वो अपनी राजनीतिक सोच इससे उजागर करते हैं।
Hitting back at KCR's statement, NITI Aayog has now said the number of measures are already in place to closely work with states. Over 30 meetings that were held in the chief ministers of various states last year. Despite requests, KCR had not responded. Civil Aviation Minister Jyotiraditya Scindia will be flagging off Akasha's Air First commercial flight that will operate on Mumbai-Ahmedabad route. Akasha Air, which is backed by ace investor Rakesh Jhunjhunwala and aviation veterans Aditya Ghosh and Vinay Dubey, got its air operator certificate from Directorate General of Civil Aviation on July the 7th. In a shocking incident, a speeding bolero crushed an elderly man last night at Azad Chowk in Chhindwara, and reports suggest while the elderly man died at the spot, 5 others were critically injured. In yet another shocking video making rounds on social media, a young man was stabbed and his wife was brutally thrashed by unknown miscreants over a car parking issue at Vegetable Market near Birla Nagar Bridge. Police have informed that the injured have been moved to a hospital and investigation has been launched to nab the accused. A dhaba operator employees thrashed Kanwarias over the bathing issue, and police have registered a case at Simrol police station and investigation too has been launched. ISRO today will launch its smallest commercial rocket, small satellite launch vehicle, to put in orbit 2 satellites, offering cheap rides to space and eyeing a share in the burgeoning small satellite launch market. The Azadi sat has been designed by 750 girl students from government schools across the country to mark the 75th anniversary of India's independence. Samyukt Kisan Morcha will launch its nationwide campaign today against Centre's Agnipath scheme for military recruitment scheme, claiming that scheme is a serious setback to farming families. Ex-Union Minister RCP Singh quit JDU, venting spleen against the Chief Minister Nitish Kumar and aides. The former Union Minister had quit the Indian Administrative Services to join the JDU 12 years ago and has now announced his resignation from the party, which he headed a year and a half ago. Time now here for a short break, viewers. Coming up on the other side, Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar and Telangana Chief Minister to boycott the meeting, demonstrating agitation against the central government. History will be scripted today as ISRO is set to launch India's newest rocket SSLV, marking a tribute to the occasion of Azadi ka Amrit Mahotsav.
Amrit has been ranked India's #1 not-for-profit private university for 9 years, with top 10 ranked institutions in management, engineering, biotech, law, masscom, telecom, hospitality, fashion and more. Yet another top ranking for Amity University.
There is a joke in Pakistan and they say that whenever America gives aid to Pakistan, whenever there are dollars flowing or whenever America gives any sort of help, in Saudi Arabia, when China, when the UAE gives Pakistan aid or loans, the property prices in London and Dubai go up. That is the level of corruption of Pakistan. So what has happened in the recent past is those dollars have dried up. Today as I speak to you, the Pakistani rupee is trading 250 to the US dollar. And today Pakistan is unable absolutely to take advantage of its geopolitical location, the geopolitical rent, as I would like to put it.
This full road has been blocked by the Congress workers, the high voltage drama.
Nancy Pelosi lands in Taiwan.
Entire Lieutenant Delhi and Central Delhi is painted in tricolor. I will show you the visuals of
टेम्परेचर कितना था? सबसे कम -70।
हर सैनिक को ये मौका नहीं मिलता CHN काटने का। मेरा का 22 साल के अंदर ये मौका मिला CHN काटने का।
अच्छा,
इसलिए बहुत गर्व है मेरा को।
छोटी बात नहीं है साहब, बहुत बड़ा कलेजा चाहिए, है ना?
Welcome back, viewers. Thank you for tuning into Republic TV. We are with the Morning Express and we are bringing you the latest when it comes to the NITI Aayog meeting, that very crucial meeting that the Prime Minister is all set to chair. And now there is some controversy that we're tracking from the state of Punjab, where the Punjab Chief Minister Bhagwant Mann has hit out at Channi and NITI Aayog Governing Council meeting. That is all set to be taking place today. The Punjab Chief Minister Mann has said that he will be highlighting waters and farmers' issue in the meeting itself. And Mann, in fact, attacked Charanjit Singh Channi, the former Chief Minister of Punjab, for not attending the meeting earlier. And Bhagwant Mann, in fact, has also said that he has done his complete homework for the meeting and will take the major issues of Punjab and table them in the NITI Aayog meeting as well. This is the latest as far as the NITI Aayog meeting is concerned, the controversy around it. Since viewers, we are already saying that two major leaders have already declined from attending this meeting, but as of now we are seeing that Bhagwant Mann claiming that there are massive issues of Punjab that needs to be raised in the NITI Aayog meeting. In fact, he's hit out at Charanjit Singh Channi for skipping it earlier in his tenure. Amandeep, my colleague, is joining me on the broadcast with more details. Amandeep, speak to us about the political significance of this, the kind of issues that Bhagwant Mann has stated that he will be raising in the NITI Aayog meeting, and also how he has hit out at Charanjit Singh Channi for not being a sport, for not going to the meeting and for not tabling the issues of Punjab.
It is that Bhagwant Mann has already done his complete homework for this NITI Aayog meeting, and in fact two prominent issues, water issues of Punjab as well as the farmer issues of Punjab, will be prominently raised by Bhagwant Mann. And meanwhile, he is very much concerned about it, that this is the governance meeting and in fact the issues of the Punjab would be tabled. And earlier, when former Chief Minister Charanjit Singh Channi, neither he had attended that meeting nor any of the officers went to attend that meeting, and he straight away attacked on Charanjit Singh Channi that he has completely ignored the issues of the Punjab, which may be highlighted in this meeting earlier as well. But right now, if he is getting the opportunity, he will definitely raise all the relevant issues of the Punjab, so that at least Prime Minister and the Governing Council should know about the issues of the Punjab and may reach to some kind of solution. But he has stayed away attacking Charanjit Singh Channi for ignoring the issues of Punjab, for taking the lightly regarding this NITI Aayog meeting as well, just because it is a political scenario, just because Charanjit Singh Channi was Chief Minister from the Congress party, and that is the reason he ignored this participation of the meeting. But Bhagwant Mann says just put everything aside regarding the politics. He will definitely go to the meeting with the full homework, with the full preparedness, and he will raise all the issues related to Punjab. Yes, Priyanka.
Well, that's right, Amandeep. Of course, he is criticizing Charanjit Singh Channi for not tabling the issues of Punjab in that meeting. And of course, he will be going there and tabling the issues of Punjab is what he's claiming. Amandeep, we trust you to keep us ahead on that story.
अब हम प्रमोशन से 28 मिनट 54 सेकंड की दूरी पर SSLV स्मॉल सैटेलाइट लॉन्च व्हीकल एक लघु उपग्रह प्रक्षेपण यान है। इसकी क्षमता 10 से 500 kg तक के नितभार को 500 किलोमीटर की निचली कक्षा में स्थापित करने की है। इसमें बहुत सी मुख्य बातें हैं जो इसे अन्य प्रमोचक रॉकेटों से भिन्न बनाती है। यह लघु उपग्रहों को निचली कक्षा में स्थापित करने की सबसे कम लागत तथा क्रांतिक तकनीक का प्रदर्शन करने जा रहा है। इसे कम समय तथा कम लागत में तैयार किया जा सकता है। इससे इसमें वाणिज्यिक तथा प्रौद्योगिक अनुसंधान के कार्य में निरंतर उपयोग में लाया जा सकेगा। इस यान के साथ स्पेस टेक्नोलॉजी अन्य निजी संस्थानों के वहन करने योग्य स्तर पर भी आ जाएगी। ठोस नोदक प्रणाली में विकसित इस यान की अभिकल्पना में कई चुनौतियां आई। प्रभावी लागत तथा अल्प समय में तैयार की जाने वाली विश्वसनीय प्रमोचक रॉकेट बनाने की चुनौती इसमें शामिल है।
Calling peak for MOTR, mobile MOTR, switch on radiation. P4 radiation on.
SSLV को मुख्यतः लॉन्च ऑन डिमांड के ध्यान में रखकर बनाया गया है। SSLV की प्राथमिक विकासशील उड़ानों के पश्चात NSIL इसे भारतीय उद्योगों के द्वारा बनाए जाने पर भी विचार कर रहा है।
Let's take a look at the SSLV integration activities at SDSC Shar. The launch campaign began with the flag off of the nozzle end segment of the first stage from second vehicle assembly building to the mobile service tower. The movement of middle and head end segments. The joints being open type or dry type, minimum time is taken in the assembly of all the segments on the single day.
अभी आप अपनी स्क्रीन पर देख पा रहे हैं सभी खंडों को जोड़कर SS1 प्रथम चरण तैयार किया गया और अब इग्नाइटर को इसके साथ एकीकृत किया जा रहा है। यह SS2 है जो कि द्वितीय चरण है SSLV D1 रॉकेट का। इसे इंटर स्टेज के साथ एकीकृत कर लॉन्च पैड लाया जाएगा।
have blocked the main ITO road.
Nancy Pelosi lands and she's coming down now. Nancy Pelosi.
Protest is allowed legally and non-violently, but here they were disobeying Section 144 and the way they behaved with authorities, with police, the law should deal with.
The Black Friday protest seems to have backfired there for the Congress leaders. BJP is alleging at this point where Priyanka Gandhi Vadra was seen kicking the cops, she was seen twisting the arm of the personnel. Not just Priyanka Gandhi Vadra, even Rahul Gandhi for that matter.
This was very much clear by the Delhi police that there is no permission for any kind of protest, and 144 is already imposed. The FIR now has been registered. Few senior leader of the Congress party is also named in that particular FIR.
Congress has made a big remark saying that Lord Ram is being used by the centre to target the opposition.
They are trying to divert the attention of the common people.
और आइए खबरों को अब विस्तार से देखते हैं। प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी आज नई दिल्ली स्थित राष्ट्रपति भवन सांस्कृतिक केंद्र में गवर्निंग काउंसिल की 7वीं बैठक की अध्यक्षता करेंगे। ये बैठक केंद्र, राज्यों और केंद्र शासित प्रदेशों के बीच साझेदारी और सहयोग के एक नए युग की दिशा में तालमेल का मार्ग प्रशस्त करेगी। इस बैठक के एजेंडे में फसलों के विविधीकरण, राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति, स्कूली और उच्च शिक्षा का कार्यान्वयन और शहरी प्रशासन जैसे विषय शामिल हैं। इस बैठक की तैयारियों के तहत जून 2022 में धर्मशाला में विभिन्न राज्यों के मुख्य सचिवों का राष्ट्रीय सम्मेलन आयोजित किया गया, जो कि केंद्र और राज्यों की 6 महीने चली कड़ी कवायद की परिणति थी। जुलाई 2019 के बाद से शासी परिषद की ये पहली प्रत्यक्ष बैठक होगी। इस बैठक में संघीय प्रणाली की दृष्टि से भारत की अध्यक्षता के महत्व और G20 के मंच पर अपनी प्रगति को उजागर करने में राज्यों की भूमिका पर भी जोर दिया जाएगा। एनडीए उम्मीदवार जगदीप धनखड़ देश के 14वें उपराष्ट्रपति चुन लिए गए। कल संसद भवन में हुए चुनाव में उन्हें 528 वोट मिले। वहीं विपक्ष की उम्मीदवार मार्गरेट अल्वा को 182 वोट मिले। इस चुनाव में कुल 725 सांसदों ने मतदान किया था। राजस्थान के झुंझुनू जिले के केठाना गांव में किसान परिवार में जन्मे जगदीप धनखड़ ने 1990 में चंद्रशेखर सरकार में केंद्रीय मंत्री के रूप में कार्य किया। उन्होंने जुलाई 2019 से इस साल जुलाई तक पश्चिम बंगाल के राज्यपाल के रूप में कार्य किया। जगदीप धनखड़ एक बार लोकसभा के लिए और एक बार राजस्थान विधानसभा के लिए चुने गए। पेशे से वकील धनखड़ राजस्थान उच्च न्यायालय बार एसोसिएशन के अध्यक्ष भी रह चुके हैं।
की है। यह चरण 3 खंडों से बना हुआ है। में कुल निर्वात प्रणोद 2600 किलोन्यूटन।
Has made a big remark saying that Lord Ram is being used by the centre to target the opposition.
They are trying to divert the attention of the common people by resorting the only weapon they have been using for decades long, that Ram, Ram, Ram.
फौजी ने तिरंगे की लाज रखी। अगर विजय मिली तो तिरंगा लहराया और अगर वीरगति मिली तो तिरंगे में लिपट कर आया, और ये उस फौजी का वादा था। मेरे साथ एक ऑफिसर था, मैंने उससे पूछा क्या मतलब है वॉर मेमोरियल में खाली पत्थर लगाना। उसने बोला कि सर ये वादा है फौज का, ये वादा है इंडियन आर्मी का कि और कितने भी नाम इस पत्थर पे लिख दिए जाएं, ये तिरंगा ऐसे ही लहराता रहेगा।
There is a joke in Pakistan and they say that whenever America gives aid to Pakistan, whenever there are dollars flowing or whenever America gives any sort of help, when Saudi Arabia, when China, when the UAE gives Pakistan aid or loans, the property prices in London and Dubai go up. That is the level of corruption of Pakistan. So what has happened in the recent past is those dollars have dried up. Today as I speak to you, the Pakistani rupee is trading 250 to the US dollar. And today Pakistan is
The headlines you're watching live and breaking on Republic, and history will be scripted today as ISRO is set to launch India's newest rocket, SSLV, marking a tribute to the occasion of Azadi ka Amrit, Mahotsav.
Automatic launch sequence have been completed satisfactorily. Based on the clearance obtained from launch vehicle, spacecraft, range and instruct network station and prevailing favorable weather condition, Mission Director hereby authorized to initiate the launch operation sequence of the launch of SSLV D1 EOS-02 mission at 9:18 hours IST today, that is 7th August 2022.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi is set to chair NITI Aayog meet, agenda to discuss implementation of national education policy, among others. Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar and Telangana CM to boycott NITI Aayog meet, demonstrating agitation against the central government. AK-47 firing spree in Kolkata. One officer martyred after CISF Jawan opens fire in the city's National Museum. In a big development, ex-Union Minister RCP Singh resigns from the JDU after a notice over discrepancies in properties. Former Union Minister quits the JDU after a notice arrives over discrepancies in property ownership. Welcome, you're watching Live and Breaking, and ISRO in a short while from now is set to conduct, or rather launch, India's first and newest rocket SSLV today from Sriharikota Satish Dhawan Space Centre in Andhra Pradesh. Here's more in this report.
With higher payloads, the SSLV is an effective solution for those payloads that were hitherto launched as secondary payloads on medium launch vehicles. In recent times, there is a growing need among developing countries, private corporations and universities for small satellites, which is stimulated by the demand from the commercial Earth observation and communication constellations.
And in a key development, RCP Singh has resigned from the Janata Dal United. This comes shortly after the JDU had sent Ramchandra Prasad Singh a notice over discrepancies in property ownership. So the JDU now, it appears, dealing with some problems within its own ranks. The infighting within the JDU in Bihar comes to the fore yet again, as RCP Singh, who resigned from the Union Cabinet, was slapped with a show-cause notice. Singh has been accused of amassing vast property within the period 2013 to 2019 and not declaring the property in his 2016 Rajya Sabha election affidavit. Following this, ex-Union Minister RCP Singh, after he received a notice, held a meeting in his native village.
The infighting between JDU and Bihar comes to the fore yet again, when RCP Singh, who resigned from the Union Cabinet, was slapped with a show-cause notice. Singh has been accused of amassing vast property from 2013 to 19 and not declaring the same in his 2016 Rajya Sabha election affidavit.
After being served a so-called notice by the Bihar JDU State President, former Union Minister and former JDU President RCP Singh has resigned from the primary membership of the JDU. Earlier in the day, the former Union Minister was shot an explanation as to what are the sources of income through which he bought several properties in his name, his wife's name, as well as his two daughters' name.
Following which, ex-Union Minister RCP Singh held a meeting in his native village. The ex-Union Minister, taking a dig on Bihar CM Nitish Kumar, said, and I quote, "He cannot become the Prime Minister of India even if he aspires to."
Where RCP Singh is residing, went on to castigate Nitish Kumar and say that Nitish Kumar is not fit to become the Prime Minister of the country if at all he aspires to. And it was at the behest of Atal Bihari Vajpayee and Lal Krishna Advani that Nitish Kumar was made the Chief Minister of Bihar.
Further, Singh went on to question CM Nitish Kumar's credentials.
RCP Singh also questioned the credentials of Nitish Kumar, and he also went on to say that after resigning from the party, he might think of floating his own outfit and take on Nitish Kumar in his home turf, Nalanda, where this residence is, where he is residing at the moment.
Amid rumors of Singh's strained ties with Kumar, the Union Steel Minister was ignored for a Rajya Sabha berth. In July, speculation about his joining BJP gained traction. However, the Saffron Party dismissed this claim later. Now, it remains to be seen if it's an end of road for RCP Singh in JDU. Bureau Report, Republic TV.
And the NITI Aayog Governing Council meet is to begin in a short while from now. The meet is to discuss various issues being faced by states, and it's mostly attended by chief ministers of states. However, news had trickled in long before the meet was scheduled that certain chief ministers are not likely to attend. The Prime Minister will be chairing the meet. And Harsha, to tell us more about the kind of what we can expect in terms of the agenda, the topics to be taken for discussion. Also, Harsha, if I'm not wrong, this is the first such governing council meet since the pandemic struck. In person.
Exactly. The NITI Aayog Governing Council meeting will commence from 10 o'clock at 9:45 a.m. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is supposed to come, but I'll clearly show you the visual from outside Rashtrapati Bhavan. Clearly, we are seeing continuously the CMs and the Lieutenant Governors are continuously reaching Rashtrapati Bhavan Cultural Center. Right now, also you can see the visuals of the CMs arriving. The CM of Tripura, UP, Kerala, Manipur, Arunachal Pradesh have already reached Rashtrapati Cultural Center, and now these are the visuals from straight from outside Rashtrapati Bhavan Cultural Center, where we are seeing the cavalcade of different CMs of different states who are reaching. The Lieutenant Governor of these states are also reaching here directly at Rashtrapati Bhavan Cultural Center. Every CM and LG has to reach before the Prime Minister arrives, but the time of the Prime Minister arriving is at 9:45, and now we are seeing the CM of Gujarat has also arrived. Gujarat CM is also here. So continuously CMs are arriving, and the meeting will start from 10 o'clock. In this very important meeting, there are several issues which will be discussed regarding agriculture, regarding health, regarding infrastructure, and the national schemes which is already running in these states, which are the flagship projects, and regarding any financial help which states want. And states have the different speech also made by the different CMs regarding the problem which states are facing. Those things will also be kept by the state CMs. We are continuously seeing, but in this NITI Aayog Governing Council meeting, there are two states which are not participating. One is Telangana CM KCR. He has clearly stated that he will skip this meeting, and the other CM is Nitish Kumar. He said that because of the COVID issue, he is suffering from COVID, he couldn't attend this meeting, and there are many issues because in this meeting the production of edible oil and production of pulses will clearly be discussed. That production of these products is to be enhanced, and PM will clearly put this point that by 2025-26 if these things can be enhanced. And certainly these are the visuals from outside Rashtrapati Bhavan Culture Center. Continuously the cavalcade of different states CMs are arriving outside Rashtrapati Bhavan Culture Center, and we are seeing the cavalcade of Haryana CM and Jammu and Kashmir Governor Manoj Sinha is also here. So these are the two cavalcades, one of Haryana CM and one of Jammu and Kashmir Governor Manoj Sinha. He has also reached here outside Rashtrapati Bhavan Culture Center. A lot of security can clearly be seen, and the entire program schedule has already been given from 9 o'clock to 9:30. The dignitaries have to reach, and from 9:45 a.m. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will reach, and from 10 to 10:15 the meeting hall where this entire meeting is, there Prime Minister Narendra Modi will reach, and the entire discussion will happen till 4 o'clock, and after 4 o'clock there is a closing ceremony of this entire meeting. So these are the details of the NITI Aayog Governing Council meeting. It has started long back, and after that every year this meeting happens continuously to manage the flagship projects which are running in the state of national scheme which is governed by government, and what assistance did states need from the central government. Those things are also clearly being discussed here. CM Punjab Bhagwant Singh Mann clearly stated that from past 3 years neither Amrinder Singh neither Channi participated in this NITI Aayog Governing Council meeting, but this year he will certainly keep the issues of Punjab here because there are many issues regarding the farmers' debt, regarding the payment of farmers, regarding the water infrastructure, and what sort of financial help did the state need from center. All those things will be kept by Punjab CM Bhagwant Mann, and like Punjab CM from Uttarakhand, CM from UP, CM from Tripura, Manipur, Kerala all have prepared their proper speeches regarding the assistance in the different sectors which they need from the government, and we have clearly seen that after COVID there are many states which have suffered through so much loss, and those things will also be discussed. Health, farming, infrastructure, agriculture will be the main issues. Those will be discussed, and right now also continuously you are seeing this is the cavalcade of Rajasthan. Clearly seems like continuously CMs are reaching here, and CMs, not only CM but the state secretaries are also reaching here. So these are the visuals from outside Rashtrapati Bhavan Cultural Center when the NITI Aayog meeting will start. This time the TMC, this time West Bengal CM Mamata Banerjee is also participating in this meeting of NITI Aayog Governing Council. So these are the visuals which we are clearly showing you from outside Rashtrapati Bhavan Cultural Center, from where the meeting will start from after 10:15 a.m. after Prime Minister Narendra Modi reaches Rashtrapati Bhavan Cultural Center. We are at gate number 17 of Rashtrapati Bhavan Cultural Center, and many CMs are prominently coming, and they are participating in this NITI Aayog Governing Council meet. Yes, back to the studio.
Well, Harsha, you stay on that story. Many thanks for those live inputs that Republic has been able to access right now, even as chief ministers of various states arrive at the venue for the NITI Aayog meeting. Two chief ministers will be noticed because of are conspicuous by their absence. However, it's to be a meeting brainstorming session for the states and what they need with the Prime Minister. And news coming in from ISRO now. ISRO is set to conduct
a liquid bipropellant-based velocity trimming module is used. It has monomethyl hydrazine and mixed oxides of nitrogen as fuel and oxidizer respectively. The propellant of VTM also aids in the roll control during the SS2 and SS3 flight regime and control of pitch, yaw and roll during the coasting phase. SSLV has an encapsulated assembly comprising of VTM, satellites on a variety of payload adapters ensconced in the heat shield halves. The heat shield is of ogive shape, made of composite with co-cured cork thermal protection system. Overall, the SSLV is 34 meters tall, 2 meters in diameter, and has a lift-off mass of about 100.
Onboard computer in flight mode.
SSLV का यह प्रथम प्रमोशन मुख्यतः 2 उपग्रहों को अपनी कक्षा में अंतक्षेपित करने का है। पहला EOS-02 जो कि 135 kg का माइक्रो सैटेलाइट भूप्रेक्षण उपग्रह है और इसे मध्य रेखा से 356.2 किलोमीटर की ऊंचाई पर तथा 37.21 डिग्री के झुकाव के साथ अंतक्षेपित किया जाएगा। EOS-2 के साथ एक और सहयात्री उपग्रह जिसे भारत के आज़ादी के अमृत महोत्सव के रूप में आज़ादी सेट नामक उपग्रह का भी प्रमोशन किया जा रहा है। आज़ादी सेट को भी EOS-2 की ही कक्षा में स्थापित किया जाएगा। भारत के आज़ादी के अमृत महोत्सव के रूप में आज़ादी सेट नामक उपग्रह का भी प्रमोशन किया जा रहा है। आज़ादी सेट को भी EOS-2 की ही कक्षा में स्थापित किया जाएगा। SSLV में उपग्रहों को प्रक्षेपण के पश्चात ऑर्बिट रेजिंग के प्रयोगों का भी प्रदर्शन किया जाएगा। उपग्रहों को अंतक्षेपण में करीब 790 सेकंड का समय लगेगा। अब हम प्रमोशन से 2 मिनट की दूरी पर।
The tracking of the launch vehicle during the flight is done by the ISRO Telemetry Tracking and Command Network called the ISTRAC. The SSLV D1 EOS-02 being a southbound mission, 6 tracking stations are participating. They are Shar, Bangalore, Trivandrum, Port Blair, Singapore and Yattaragga. These tracking stations have overlapping visibility to track the flight trajectory and staging events. We are 1 minute 30 seconds from the launch.
आज का मौसम यहाँ बदली वाला है। यहाँ जो दर्शकगण आए हुए हैं लॉन्च को देखने के लिए उन्हें थोड़ी दिक्कत हो सकती है। लेकिन प्रमोशन के लिए पूरी तरह अनुकूल है।
-1 minute.
Distract साम।
अब हम 1 मिनट की
seconds.
दूरी पर प्रमोशन से
-50 seconds.
All sequences armed.
-45 seconds. -40 seconds. -35 seconds. -15 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Plus 5 seconds.
Stop. Normal. P1 tracking.
PT tracking.
R2 tracking.
P2 tracking.
That was a brilliant lift-off, a sight to behold.
प्रज्वलन और सफलतापूर्ण उत्थापन SSLV D1 लॉन्च व्हीकल का। SSLV D1 EOS-2 मिशन अपने गंतव्य की ओर। सभी तंत्र सुचारू रूप से काम करते हुए। बहुत ही रोमांच का पल है ये। प्रथम प्रमोशन SSLV D1 का।
Maiden launch of SSLV. The performance of first stage is as per the prediction.
First stage performance normal.
SHAR-1 as in main auto.
Plus 1 minute.
प्रथम चरण सामान्य निष्पादन करता हुआ।
SHAR-2 as in main auto.
वैज्ञानिक गण निरंतर नजर बनाए हुए हैं सभी आंकड़ों पर।
Flight parameters and ground trace on your screens right now. Shar, Bangalore and Trivandrum telemetry stations tracking.
प्रथम चरण का प्रज्वलन काल करीब 117 सेकंड का होगा।
This 22.5 meter long stage is powered by HTPB based solid propellant, 87 tons mass. It generates a thrust of 2,600 kilonewtons. During the SS1 action time of 117 seconds, the altitude of the launch vehicle crosses about 85 kilometers.
प्रथम चरण के सभी तंत्र सामान्य कार्य करते हुए।
Second stage ignited. First stage separated.
अभी अभी आपने सुना रेंज निदेशक ने घोषणा की द्वितीय चरण का प्रज्वलन हो चुका है तथा प्रथम चरण को पृथक कर दिया गया है।
As per the announcement of the Range Operations Director, the second stage has started its operation, generating maximum vacuum thrust of 235 kilonewtons.
द्वितीय चरण का प्रज्वलन काल करीब 221 सेकंड का। ऊष्मा कवच को पृथक कर दिया गया है।
Trivandrum and Port Blair stations presently tracking.
Plus 3 minutes.
अब हम 170 किलोमीटर की ऊंचाई पर आ चुके हैं।
There's a quick succession of several flight events. The SS1 separation, following the SS2 ignition.
Second stage performance normal.
And then the closed interstate separation, initiation of closed loop guidance for the flight, and of course, the dense atmosphere and 100 kilometers altitude has been crossed. The payload fairing also has been separated.
यान की गति 3.35 किलोमीटर प्रति सेकंड तथा ऊंचाई 228 किलोमीटर।
Plus 4 minutes.
इस घटनाक्रम में SS2 का प्रज्वलन काल खत्म होने के बाद करीब 90 सेकंड का कोस्ट फेज होगा।
Second stage action completed.
Current altitude is 260 kilometers. 4 minutes 30 seconds past the launch time.
इसे SS2 SS3 कंबाइंड कोस्टिंग फेज कहा जाता है। इस घटनाक्रम में अगली घटना होगी SS2 का पृथक्करण तथा SS3 का प्रज्वलन।
Vehicle performance normal.
यान पूरी तरह सामान्य प्रदर्शन करता हुआ और अपनी उद्दिष्ट कक्षा की ओर बढ़ता हुआ।
Next flight event is the separation of the second stage, which has completed its operation.
Second stage separated.
Now we have got the confirmation that the second stage has been separated.
Third stage ignited.
जी हाँ, द्वितीय चरण अपना प्रज्वलन काल तथा कोस्ट फेज पूर्ण करने के पश्चात पृथक कर दिया गया है तथा तृतीय चरण SS3 प्रज्वलित हो चुका है।
Right now the SSLV is in its third stage regime. The carbon fiber filament wound case with 4.5 tons of HTPB based solid propellant loading, SS3 will propel the rocket from 333.6 kilometers to 356.5 kilometers. A significant delta V addition takes place. It is about 3.7 kilometers per second. That's the amount of velocity increase.
SS3 का प्रज्वलन काल 112 सेकंड का होगा। इस दौरान यह निर्वात प्रणोद 160 किलो न्यूटन का उत्पन्न करेगा।
Third stage performance normal.
इस चरण के दौरान ही कक्षीय स्थितियां प्राप्त की जा सकेंगी।
+7 minutes.
Singapore and Port Blair stations still tracking. The action time for third stage is 112 seconds, after which there will be a combined coast phase.
Third stage action completed.
तृतीय चरण अपना प्रज्वलन कार्य पूर्ण करता हुआ।
Vehicle is in coasting.
Presently, it's the regime of coasting. The third stage has completed its operation, but yet to separate from the ongoing launch vehicle. Control for pitch, yaw, and roll being provided by the velocity trimming module thrusters. In about 3 minutes of coasting, there is a triple velocity addition and triple altitude gain. VTM will then operate and compensate for the velocity necessary for the injection of satellites and also the correct altitude.
भारत इस साल को आज़ादी के अमृत महोत्सव की तरह मना रहा है। भारत के स्वतंत्रता के 75वें वर्षगांठ में पूरे भारत में तरह तरह से इसे मनाया जा रहा है। इसमें सभी ओर विकास और उन्नति की दिशा को दिखाया जा रहा है। यह पर्व इसरो में भी मनाया जा रहा है। इसी उद्देश्य के साथ मिशन न सिर्फ एक नवीन प्रमोशन यान का प्रदर्शक है, बल्कि मिशन के उपग्रह आज़ादी सेट को आज़ादी के अमृत महोत्सव को समर्पित हैं।
We are 9 minutes past the launch time. Combined coasting in progress right now.
यह मिशन एक और कारण से महत्वपूर्ण है। इस यान में सफर कर रहे आज़ादी सेट को हमारे देश के ही 750 स्कूली छात्राओं ने मिलकर बनाया है। इस तरह यह मिशन महिलाओं को प्रोत्साहित करते हुए वुमेन इन स्पेस के थीम को भी सहायक बन रहा है। VTM वेलोसिटी ट्रिमिंग मॉड्यूल वह टर्मिनल चरण है जो कि अंतःक्षेपण की पूरी स्थितियां प्राप्त करेगा।
plus 10 minutes.
You are watching us live from the Mission Control Center here at Satish Dhawan Space Center, Sriharikota. This is a maiden launch of SSLV D1 EOS-03 mission.
अभी आप ऑन बोर्ड कैमरा की मदद से देख पा रहे हैं EOS-2 का पृथकीकरण तथा अंतःक्षेपण उसके उद्दिष्ट कक्षा में। VTM का कार्य पूर्ण हो चुका है और इसे बंद किया जा चुका है। अभी उपग्रह के प्रमोशन की जानकारी आ चुकी है। EOS-2 को सफलतापूर्वक अंतःक्षेपित कर दिया गया है।
Following the combined coast phase, the VTM ignition, cutoff and EOS-02 separation, Azadi sat separation, these flight events have taken place.
जी हाँ, इसकी पुष्टि कर दी गई है। EOS-2 तथा आजादी सेट को उनके उद्देश्य कक्षा में स्थापित कर दिया गया है।
The outcome of the mission is yet to be announced by the Range Operations Director.
मिशन की सफलता की औपचारिक घोषणा कुछ ही क्षणों में की जाएगी।
Viewers can stay tuned to the ISRO media portals to know the outcome of the mission of SSLV D1 EOS-02 mission. Visuals from the mission control centers on your screens right now. The experts looking at their monitors very intently.
आज़ादी सेट एक क्यूब सेट है जिसका भार करीब 8 केजी का है। इसमें कई सारे फेम्टो एक्सपेरिमेंट्स के लिए विभिन्न नित भार लगे हुए हैं। इन नित भारों को स्पेस किड्स इंडिया द्वारा एकीकृत किया गया है। अभी तक उपग्रह से संपूर्ण संकेत नहीं आए हैं।
So ISRO creates a history there, launches its maiden SSLV. It's a maiden SSLV mission, that's a small satellite launch vehicle mission. And one of the satellites that it's carrying has been made by students. Azadi Sat, the student satellite, and one other satellite are being carried by the SSLV, that's the small satellite launch vehicle. And it takes off successfully. We were just watching, and you viewers were just watching that launching of which took place from Sriharikota in Andhra Pradesh. It has placed two satellites, EOS-2 and Azadi Sat, into a 356-kilometer orbit on its maiden flight. So a very successful mission there by ISRO, another feather in its cap. We had shown you the final countdown which began for the launch of SSLV D1. It was carrying the EOS-2 and Azadi Sat.
Flight of SSLV D1 just now completed. The SSLV's all stages performed as expected. The first stage performed and separated. The second stage performed and separated. The third stage also performed and separated. And we had in the terminal phase of the mission some data loss is occurring, and we are analyzing the data, and we will come back on the status of the satellites and as well as the vehicle performance soon. So until then, please bear with us that we are currently in the process of analyzing the data to conclude on the final outcome of the mission with respect to a stable orbit achieved or not. So please please wait, and we'll come back. Thank you so much for your patient viewing of this live telecast from SDSC SHAR. Thank you so much once again.
So ISRO makes history there, and as we were just watching a short while back, Ever since the countdown began, much anticipation for this historic feat that ISRO has achieved. It's another feather in the Space Research Organization's cap. It's a historic launch of its maiden SSLV mission. That's a small satellite launch vehicle mission. Right now it's carrying 2 satellites, one of which has been built over the years in commemoration of Azadi ka Amrit Mahotsav. It's called the Azadi Sat. ISRO's tribute to Azadi ka Amrit Mahotsav. And Republic bringing you those visuals and that entire launching of the SSLV. So ISRO makes history. All the details here on Republic. Minute-to-minute updates as the world watches India Space Research Organization creating history.
Amrit has been ranked India's #1 not-for-profit private university for 9 years, with top 10 ranked institutions in management, engineering, biotech, law, masscom, telecom, hospitality, fashion and more. Yet another top ranking for Amrit University.
फौजी ने तिरंगे की लाज रखी। अगर विजय मिली तो तिरंगा लहराया और अगर वीरगति मिली तो तिरंगे में लिपट कर आया और ये उस फौजी का वादा था। मेरे साथ एक ऑफिसर था, मैंने उससे पूछा क्या मतलब है वॉर मेमोरियल में खाली पत्थर लगाना। उसने बोला कि सर ये वादा है फौज का, ये वादा है इंडियन आर्मी का कि और कितने भी नाम इस पत्थर पे लिख दिए जाएं, ये तिरंगा ऐसे ही लहराता रहेगा।
There is a joke in Pakistan and they say that whenever America gives aid to Pakistan, whenever there are dollars flowing or whenever America gives any sort of help, when Saudi Arabia, when China, when the UAE gives Pakistan aid or loans, the property prices in London and Dubai go up. That is the level of corruption of Pakistan. So what has happened in the recent past is those dollars have dried up. Today as I speak to you, the Pakistani rupee is trading 250 to the US dollar. And today Pakistan is unable absolutely to take advantage of its geopolitical location, the geopolitical rent, as I would like to put it.
This full road has
And you're watching Live and Breaking on Republic. Indian women on Saturday defeated England by 4 runs to reach the finals of the Commonwealth Games T20 International. They will play either Australia or New Zealand in the finals. Here are the details.
India scripted history by beating England by 4 runs to enter the final of first ever women cricket event at the Commonwealth Games. Women in blue captain Harmanpreet Kaur said it was a great team effort that achieved the victory.
बहुत इम्पॉर्टेंट मैच था और अच्छा लगा जैसे सारे टीम के मेंबर्स सब अपनी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी के हिसाब से बैटिंग बॉलिंग फील्डिंग कर रहे थे और ऐसे मैचेस में बहुत इम्पॉर्टेंट होता है कि सब एक साथ रहें और एक साथ टीम को सपोर्ट करें और स्पेशली द लास्ट ओवर इफ़ यू सी सारे जो फास्ट फील्डर्स हैं हमारी टीम में दे टुक द रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी दे वांटेड टू गो टू द डीप मिड विकेट डीप स्क्वायर लाइक सो वहाँ से शो होता है कि हाउ कीन यू आर टू डू वेल फॉर द टीम तो वो अच्छा लगा सबके वहाँ से देख के.
Meanwhile, Sneh Rana, who bowled the last over with England needing 14 runs to win, said she was nervous but was confident of reaching the target.
I was a little bit nervous, but I am much more confident because I have done this thing earlier also for my team. So I was pretty much confident about myself. So I just delivered that.
England captain said she was gutted for not being able to get her team over the line.
Their bowlers executed well and really put the strangle on us a little bit, and we couldn't get ourselves out of it. I felt like I was in a good position to see us home at the end, but yeah, probably maybe left it a little bit late when I started only looking for boundaries. But I think there's such small margins in the T20. It's so hard to know exactly where the game was won and lost, but it was a hard-fought game, and yeah, a good one for the crowd, I think.
Skiver's crucial run out in the penultimate over proved costly for a team in their chase of 165 for a spot in the final. India booked its spot in the gold medal match of the cricket event at the Commonwealth Games on Saturday. Bureau Report, Republic TV.
NITI Aayog Governing Council meet has started. PM Narendra Modi to come in a short while. All CMs have already reached. A very important meeting of NITI Aayog Governing Council meet, which will be start. And HM Amrit Shah, Nitin Gadkari, Rajasthan Singh, Nirmala Sitharaman, all have reached. Stay tuned with Republic TV. Will come up with more breaking updates on this very special telecast of NITI Aayog Governing Council meet. Stay tuned.
Amity has been ranked India's #1 not-for-profit private university for 9 years, with top 10 ranked institutions in management, engineering, biotech, law, masscom, telecom, hospitality, fashion and more. Yet another top ranking for Amity University.
मेरे साथ एक ऑफिसर था, मैंने उससे पूछा क्या मतलब है वॉर मेमोरियल में खाली पत्थर लगाना। उसने बोला कि सर ये वादा है फौज का, ये वादा है इंडियन आर्मी का कि और कितने भी नाम इस पत्थर पे लिख दिए जाएं, ये तिरंगा ऐसे ही लहराता रहेगा।
There is a joke in Pakistan and they say that whenever America gives aid to Pakistan, whenever there are dollars flowing or whenever America gives any sort of help, when Saudi Arabia, when China, when the UAE gives Pakistan aid or loans, the property prices in London and Dubai go up. That is the level of corruption of Pakistan. So what has happened in the recent past is those dollars have dried up. Today as I speak to you, the Pakistani rupee is trading 250 to the US dollar. And today Pakistan is unable absolutely to take advantage of its geopolitical location, the geopolitical rent, as I would like to put it.
This full road has been blocked by the Congress workers, the high voltage drama.
Nancy Pelosi lands in Taiwan.
You're watching Live and Breaking on Republic and getting you all the latest updates on the NITI Aayog meet that the Prime Minister is chairing today. A meeting with all the chief ministers and lieutenant governors of states and union territories. Varsha, our correspondent there on the ground, as Republic brings you all the updates. Varsha, it's over to you. What's happening now? A short while back, we had seen all the chief ministers arriving, also chief secretaries. It's to be a very significant NITI Aayog meet this time around.
Exactly. Since the 2 years of pandemic, this NITI Aayog Governing Council meet is very important. If we talk about health, if we talk about infrastructure, if we talk about the farming issue, all state CMs have almost reached to the NITI Aayog Governing Council meet. We are standing at outside Rashtrapati Bhavan Cultural Center. PM Narendra Modi is expected to reach in a short while. HM Amrit Shah, Rajasthan Singh, Nirmala Sitharaman, Nitin Gadkari, Piyush Goyal, Ashwini Vaishnav. These are the ministers of the cabinet who have also reached this NITI Aayog Governing Council meet. They'll also participate participating in this very important meet. We have seen Mamata Banerjee has also reached, Orissa CM Naveen Patnaik has also reached. Not only this, excluding Telangana CM and Bihar CM Nitish Kumar, all these state CMs have almost reached here. We are just waiting for Arunachal Pradesh CM and also Karnataka and Tamil Nadu CM to reach here. I'll show you the visuals from outside Rashtrapati Bhavan Cultural Center, where this meeting is exactly taking place. All state CMs have already come here. Very important meeting, because this time when PM will reach from 10 a.m. at meeting hall in this RBCC hall, several issues will be discussed from 11 to 11:30. The intervention and presentation will happen on the production of pulses, production of oil seed, which has to be enhanced in the financial year 2025-2026. This is the target of central government, so as not to depend on the import sector. And not only this, after pandemic we have also seen how the states have gradually collapsed. If we talk about the financial assistance, the national schemes which are also running by central government in states, the financial help which the states need from the center, those all will be discussed. We have seen Punjab CM Bhagwant Mann has also reached. And not only this, Punjab CM Bhagwant Mann literally stated that from past 3 years none of the CM from Punjab have participated in NITI Aayog Governing Council meet. So this time CM Bhagwant Mann will be participating, and clearly in his speech he will be stating the issue of farming debts, agriculture, the issue of infrastructure which Punjab clearly needs and more. All these issues will be kept. UP CM also will be keeping the farmer and agriculture issue and also the infrastructure, as Uttar Pradesh is gearing hard towards infrastructure. Many outside companies have already been there. So this is the NITI Aayog Governing Council meet. All dignitaries have reached, cabinet secretaries, cabinet ministers and LG and governors have already reached. So this is the update from NITI Aayog Governing Council meet. Stay tuned. You are watching Republic TV. We'll bring you more live and updates. Keep breaking. Coming back after a short break.
Pakistan, and they say that whenever America gives aid to Pakistan, whenever there are dollars flowing, or whenever America gives any sort of help, when Saudi Arabia, when China, when the UAE gives Pakistan aid or loans, the property prices in London and Dubai go up. That is the level of corruption of Pakistan. So what has happened in the recent past is those dollars have dried up. Today as I speak to you, the Pakistani rupee is trading 250 to the US dollar. And today Pakistan is unable, absolutely, to take advantage of its geopolitical location, the geopolitical rent, as I would like to put it.
This full road has been blocked by the Congress workers, the high voltage drama.
Nancy Pelosi lands in Taiwan.
In Delhi and central Delhi is painted in tricolor. I will show you the visuals of Har Ghar Tiranga campaign. Bike rally is going for 7 kilometers till Maitri School in Patiala House Court. 750 bike riders are here. So these are all Sikh bike riders with their amazing bikes.
These protesters have blocked the main ITO road.
Nancy Pelosi lands and she's coming down now. Nancy Pelosi.
Protest is allowed legally and non-violently, but here they were disobeying section 144, and the way they behaved with authorities, with police, the law should deal with.
The Black Friday protest seems to have backfired there for the Congress leaders. BJP is alleged.
Watching live and breaking other national news now. Prime Minister Modi to chair key NITI Aayog meet. In a short while from now, the meet is expected to begin as chief ministers and chief secretaries arrive at the venue. Also other news, massive row erupts over NITI Aayog meet after Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar and Telangana CM KCR's decision to skip. While Nitish Kumar states recovery from COVID as the reason, KCR calls this a mark of protest against the present discriminating trend of the centre towards states. Hitting back at KCR's statement, NITI Aayog says number of measures are already in place to work closely with states and over 30 meetings held with chief ministers. Last year, despite requests, KCR has not responded. Civil Aviation Minister Jyotiraditya Scindia to flag off Akasha Air's first commercial flight to operate on the Mumbai-Ahmedabad route. Akasha Air, backed by ace investor Rakesh Jhunjhunwala and aviation veterans Aditya Ghosh and Vinay Dubey, got its air operator's certificate from the Directorate General of Civil Aviation on the 7th of July. In a shocking incident, a speeding Bolero crashes an elderly man at Azad Chowk in Chhindwara last night, reports suggest. While the elderly person died on the spot, 5 others were critically injured. And yet another shocking video doing the rounds on social media. A young man is stabbed, his wife brutally thrashed by unknown miscreants over a car parking issue at a vegetable market near Birla Nagar Bridge. Police have informed that the injured have been moved to hospital and an investigation has been launched to nab the accused. The incident is from Gwalior in Madhya Pradesh. A dhaba operator and employees thrash Kavadiyas over a bathing issue. Police register a case at Simrol police station and an investigation too has been launched. This is an incident from Indore in Madhya Pradesh. The Indian Space Research Organization launches smallest commercial rocket, small satellite launch vehicle to put in orbit 2 satellites, offering cheap rides to space and eyeing a share in burgeoning small satellite launch market. And in other national news, Samyukt Kisan Morcha to launch its nationwide campaign against Centre's Agnipath scheme for military recruitment, claiming the scheme is a serious setback to farming families. Ex-Union Minister RCP Singh quits JDU, venting spleen against Chief Minister Nitish Kumar and aides. Former Union Minister had quit the Indian Administrative Services to join JDU 12 years ago. Now he's announced his resignation, which he had headed a year and a half ago. A party that he had headed a year and a half ago.
We are taking a short break here on Republic TV. You are watching Republic TV and we are giving you all the updates, fresh updates on NITI Aayog Governing Council meet. All state CMs, union ministers, chief secretaries, LG have already reached here at Rashtrapati Bhavan. Meeting to start in a short while. Taking a small break here. Stay tuned. Keep watching Republic TV.
These protesters have blocked the main ITO road.
Nancy Pelosi lands and she's coming down now. Nancy Pelosi.
Protest is allowed legally and non-violently, but here they were disobeying Section 144 and the way they behaved with authorities, with police, the law should deal with.
The Black Friday protest seems to have backfired there for the Congress leaders. BJP is alleging at this point where Priyanka Gandhi Vadra was seen kicking the cops, she was seen twisting the arm of the personnel. And not just Priyanka Gandhi Vadra, even Rahul Gandhi for that matter.
This was very much clear by the Delhi police that there is no permission for any kind of protest and 144 is already imposed. The FIR now has been registered. Few senior leader of the Congress party is also named in that particular FIR.
has made a big remark saying that Lord Ram is being used by the centre to target the opposition.
They are trying to divert the attention of the common people by resorting the only weapon they have been using for decades long, that Ram, Ram, Ram.
Here are the headlines at 10 a.m. viewers. The space history has been made. ISRO successfully launches India's newest rocket, SSLV. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, crucial NITI Aayog meet, implementation of the national education policy likely to be discussed. Controversy over Prime Minister Modi NITI Aayog meeting. Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar and Telangana Chief Minister boycott the meeting. AK-47 firing spree in Kolkata. One officer dead after CISF Jawan opens fire in the city's National Museum. Probe underway. Athletes bring glory for the country. India's medal tally goes up to 40 at the Commonwealth Games of 2022 in Birmingham. Now viewers, one of the biggest stories that we are tracking for you today is that of the NITI Aayog meeting that is all set to be chaired by the Prime Minister Narendra Modi. In fact, the updates that we are getting is that the Prime Minister Narendra Modi has arrived for the NITI Aayog meeting. And we had seen how one of the biggest agenda of the NITI Aayog meeting is that of implementation of the national education policy that is all expected to be discussed in this meeting as well. Even this comes in the backdrop of the political posturing that is being done by Nitish Kumar and KCR as well, claiming that they will be boycotting the meeting of NITI Aayog. And not just that, we just heard Bhagwant Mann also speak about how Charanjit Singh Channi did not attend the NITI Aayog meeting and missed out on opportunities to table the issues of the people of Punjab in this meeting, and that he will be tabling several issues. But right now, viewers, we are tracking for you that the Prime Minister, in fact, has arrived for NITI Aayog's meeting. Harsha, my colleague, is joining me on the broadcast to give us more details. Harsha, tell us more about the entire, the NITI Aayog meeting that is all set to take place. Two bigger agendas that we are expecting to take place, that of the national education policy implementation as well. But this is happening in the backdrop of the political standing that is being done, posturing that is being done by KCR, Nitish and also Bhagwant Mann as well. Take it away. Tell us the details and the agenda of this meeting.
Exactly, a lot of politics has also happened towards this meeting of NITI Aayog Governing Council meeting. PM Narendra Modi has already reached and the meeting of this Governing Council has started. PM Narendra Modi is officially and formally meeting all these state CMs who have come here, the governors and LGs as well. But one thing is for sure that KCR yesterday did a press conference, clearly stated that in this entire meeting, state CMs are not allowed to speak much. Only 4 minutes of time is given in this 4 hours meeting. And clearly he said that I I am remarking I'm remarking against this NITI Aayog Governing Council meeting. Therefore, I don't want to participate in this. Nitish Kumar stated the issue of health, because of which he didn't come. But clearly, Bhagwant Mann has prepared a long speech for the state of Punjab and clearly has sent the copies to the member and secretary of NITI Aayog as well. But yesterday we heard how secretary and member of NITI Aayog clearly stated that it is very unfortunate that the CM KCR is not attending this NITI Aayog meeting. He clearly stated last year when NITI Aayog Governing Council meeting happened, there were 15 meetings, 15 follow-up meetings which happened with the CM before the NITI Aayog Governing Council meeting. All the issues were pre-discussed with the CM before the meeting happened. So this is clearly unfortunate that KCR is saying such things. But now we are understanding that in this meeting from 11 a.m. till 1:30 a.m. there will be several issues which will be discussed, including national education policy as well, and also their issue of crops of farmers, of the debts of farmers, and how the production of pulses and edible oil can be increased and enhanced in our country. Right now we are seeing that most of the edible oils we had to purchase from international market, because of which India is actually suffering the international market crisis as well. The rates are clearly depending on international markets. Therefore the country wants, the PM will also keep this issue, that how in India only the production of edible oil can be enhanced, and not only this, how pulses like moong dal, masoor dal, tur dal and arhar dal, how the production of these dal can also be enhanced from 277 lakh tons to 375 lakh tons by 2025-26. So these are the issues which are prominent issues in this NITI Aayog Governing Council meeting. From 11 o'clock to 1:30 the presentations will go on these important issues. After that, from 1 p.m. till 2 p.m. there will be a lunch break. After lunch break, the CMs will be allowed to speak on their issues. The CMs who have prepared the speech regarding the health, infrastructure, farming issues, and the financing assistance also which they need from the center regarding the national schemes, flagship schemes which are running by central government in these states. All those things will be tabled by state CMs as well. Bhagwant Mann has clearly stated that Charanjit Singh Channi and Punjab CM Amrit previously didn't state and didn't keep any of the issues of the Punjab previous, but this time their issue of crops, their issue of farms, their issue of farming debts, there are also the issue of the payments of farmers, and clearly the infrastructure issues which will be clearly discussed and will be tabled by Punjab CM Bhagwant Mann. So clearly this is also very important, because in 2 years of pandemic, states have suffered a loss and clearly have seen a lot of graph which have downfall in this pandemic. So clearly they need lot of financial assistance from the central government.
Right, Harsha.
If we talk about hospitals, if we talk about infrastructure, if we talk about many things. So these will be the very important things which will be discussed in today's NITI Aayog Governing Council meet. HM Amit Shah, Piyush Goyal, Nirmala Sitharaman, Ashwini Vaishnav are also here, including Nitin Gadkari, who will also keep their points to enhance and strengthen the relationship between states and center. Back to the studio.
Harsha, some very important points of this meeting, of course, is also that this is going to be the first meeting in person since 2019, that is since COVID-19 also hit us. Of course, apart from that, the focus is also going to be the synergy and the integration of the states and union territories to work together in the spirit of Atmanirbhar Bharat as well. So speak to us about those points as well that will be a part of the discussion, and these points, these philosophies that will be kept in mind while talking about the implementation of the national education policy. Speak to us about that.
Exactly. We saw how after pandemic, how after 2019, all this meeting, since 2 years the meeting happened online. The chief secretaries and the state dignitaries were attached during the meeting. Much of the CMs couldn't participate because of the problems of COVID and because of they were sometimes not ill. But this time CMs have come for one-to-one interaction, and the national education policy is very important policy which center have been talking since long. Therefore, chief secretaries from state had come with a definite data and everything. And therefore, if we talk about S. J. Shankar, if we talk about Ashwini Vaishnav, Piyush Goyal, all these have also prepared a different data on this national school policy, and it will be widely discussed. Entire presentation starting with national education policy will happen. Clearly the start at 11 a.m. is going to be with the presentation on national education policy, and not only this, the intervention of the states will be asked what states are thinking on this national education policy and what are marks and what are the demands. This thing will be discussed, and as you said about Atmanirbhar Bharat, there are many flagship schemes which come under Atmanirbhar Bharat. If you talk about Jammu Kashmir, since the abrogation of Article 370, there are many things which have been seen in Jammu Kashmir. Clearly, Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha has also drafted a presentation which he has sent to the member of NITI Aayog. In that entire presentation, the schooling, the infrastructure, the medical facilities, how jobs can be created regarding under this flagship program of Atmanirbhar Bharat will be given in Jammu and Kashmir, because we don't have to forget that in this NITI Aayog meeting, the enhancement of states is widely discussed. How the states can enrich and how the states can strengthen, because there are so much of financial assistance which the states need, and after 2 years of pandemic, there's so much to happen in these states. Clearly, Bengal CM Mamata Banerjee is also going to keep the issue of GST and the dues payment as well. Nirmala Sitharaman is present in the meeting, so clearly Mamata Banerjee has also drafted a presentation on the GST, and there are several projects whose payment almost of 97,000 crore have not been given to West Bengal till now. So she is also facing several issues regarding the health infrastructure and the non-dues of the payment. She has drafted an entire presentation on those things, so she will be keeping all these things on the table. So every state have their own issues on the infrastructure. Everyone wants that the center should give their financial assistance to them, because in this entire 2 years of pandemic, states have suffered a lot of loss, and there are many infrastructure things which have to strengthen. So clearly in this before lunch, the 2 hours of presentation is important very well, because national education policy and how the states can align and farmers can be enhanced and the crop align pattern will be discussed, because now India is trying to enhance the production of pulses and edible oil with Punjab CM, Rajasthan CM, UP CM. All this thing will be discussed, because these are the places where pulses grow in high number, where the farming of pulses are being done. So what a state can do with center, how states and center we can align together, and the crop alignment pattern can be taught to the farmers, and how India can become to the leading pulse exporter. Right now we import a lot and we don't generate a production of much. So the target is of generating the production of almost of 375 lakh tons. So this is the target. All these things will be discussed in this NITI Aayog Governing Council meeting. Clearly a very important meeting, because a lot of CM will be getting a lot of time to keep their points on infrastructure, health and the production and farming issues as well. Back to the studio.
Well, yes, Harsha, and what you're telling us will be done with the spirit of cooperative federalism is also something that we're picking up. But let's take a step back, and of course, you've already broken down several of the details of what can be discussed in this particular meeting. But to the run-up of this meeting, we had seen as the preparation for this, the National Conference of the Chief Secretaries. In fact, there was a meeting that was held of all of these Chief Secretaries in Dharamshala in June 22. This was in preparation of this kind of a meeting of NITI Aayog between the centre and the states as well that was taking place. Speak to us about the salient points of that meeting as well, because the discussions of that will be something that will tell us about what can be the decisions taken in this NITI Aayog meeting, isn't it?
Exactly. Before this very important NITI Aayog Governing Council meeting in Dharamshala, a meeting with Chief Secretaries happened. In that meeting with Chief Secretaries, the NITI Aayog members clearly told them that what are the key issues which have to be discussed in this meeting. Chief Secretaries were told to draft a presentation on the infrastructure problems they are facing. They were told to draft a presentation on the national education policy which centre is trying to implement and what they have the thoughts about. And in that meeting, the 12 members of NITI Aayog were present, including the head of including the main member of NITI Aayog, and not only that, the chief secretaries of all these states were also present. Some were joined through online, but many of them were physically presented, and an entire discussion on the NITI Aayog Governing Council meeting happened. This is the same thing which NITI Aayog member have been telling to KCR, that before any meeting of NITI Aayog Governing Council happens, before that a detailed discussion on the agenda of the meeting is discussed with the chief secretaries, with the principal secretaries of the state, and before this meeting also, all the chief secretaries of the state were called, and that time, let me tell you, at that time the chief secretary of Telangana was clearly present in Dharamshala for that meeting. He was also told to draft the presentation of the agenda. They were given a brief of almost 4 to 5 hours that what will be the agenda of NITI Aayog governing council meet, and in that 4 to 5 hours they were also told that if they have any problem regarding these agenda and if they have points to add on, they can add in their presentation, they can mail or send it to NITI Aayog member, and those agenda and presentation in keeping in loop to the CMs will clearly be discussed in this meeting. See, in this meeting not only the state CMs are present, their chief secretaries are also have come along with them, and this has happened because all the chief secretaries were already given the brief of the agenda of this NITI Aayog governing council meet, which is a very important meeting. So certainly before this, a brief in Dharamshala has already been given to chief secretaries on the national education policy, on the farming issues, on the agriculture issues, on the health issues, which are primarily the main focus agenda of this NITI Aayog governing council meet. Back to the studio.
Well, of course, Harsha, their viewers getting us the details of this NITI Aayog meeting that is all set to take place, and the Prime Minister has just arrived to chair that meeting as well. And of course, we will be getting you all the updates as to what were the points of discussion in this particular meeting. And of course, we were learning the top agenda will be that of the implementation of the national education policy. But of course, we will have to wait and watch, viewers, as to what really are the decisions taken. But all eyes on that very crucial NITI Aayog meeting. And viewers, cutting across to some more breaking updates that we are picking up, this time from Uttarakhand, where Amrohi and some more breaking updates that we're picking up this time from Uttarakhand, where Amrohi MH09 is blocked due to the landslide in Champawat in Uttarakhand. And these are the visuals of Ground Zero there in Uttarakhand, where we are seeing that the debris clearing exercises are being carried out by the authorities so that the main roadways are not blocked due to the landslide. Of course, you can see the terrain there, the topography there, really that adds to the kind of issues that we see during the heavy monsoon. And we have been seeing one after the other such images coming to light since over the past 1 month, since the monsoon has started getting heavy there, then be it the cloudburst and of course landslides that are taking place, because of which now major roadways are getting blocked. Amandeep, my colleague, is joining me on the broadcast with more details. Amandeep, tell us about the landslide that has taken place, if there are any injuries or any casualties that have been reported, and what are the authorities doing for making sure that the roadways are rehabilitated back to normal routine and normal movement of traffic can be done?
Well, Priyanka, this incident reported in Amrohi, National Highway number 5 in Champawat area in Uttarakhand. And in fact, after the slide, now the entire road has been blocked. And in fact, administration has pressed into the services. They have applied heavy machines to clear the roads. They are just clearing the stones that are now on the road. So far, administration is claiming that there is no loss of life and nobody has injured into this incident, just because they already put alert in this area, and even due to heavy rainfall, this all happened in the Uttarakhand just because it is a hilly area. And even now the administration is claiming that it will take a couple of hours to clear the national highway and traffic will be resumed very soon, as the entire administration has pressed into the services, and even the police has been deployed on the both sides to halt the traffic, to advise the commuters not to go that side. Meanwhile, there are some state highways that are connecting to that area. They have been opened, but they have been opened just for the small vehicles. No heavy vehicle can travel on the state highways. And even the administration is ensuring that traffic will be resumed in a couple of hours, that the highway cannot be afforded to block for a long. And even they have pressed several machines and the machinery of the government into the services to clear the road very soon. Yes, Priyanka.
Well, all right, Amandeep there getting us all the details as far as the authorities are concerned, and what really the authorities are doing to make sure that life is Life is rehabilitated back to normalcy, and those are the visuals. In fact, you can see of the landslide that had taken place in Uttarakhand as well. Now, viewers, tracking for you a shocking incident that is coming to light from Azad Chowk, where in fact we were learning a speeding bolero has crushed an elderly man last night at the Azad Chowk itself. These are horrific visuals and details of this accident that we're picking up. Here's more on the story.
Watch how a speeding bolero crushed an elderly man to death last night in Madhya Pradesh's Chindwara. Reports suggest the elderly man was on his way to a market with his wife when he was hit by the speeding car.
एक गाड़ी बहुत स्पीड से आई, बहुत तेजी से आवाज़ हो रही थी, हमको समझ में नहीं आया, ऐसा लग रहा था कोई ट्री रजिस्टते हुए लेके आ रहा है। देखे तो 60-70 की स्पीड में गाड़ी चली जा रही है, वो गाड़ी को ठोकी, ये गाड़ी को ठोकी और आगे बढ़ते हुए चली गई। नॉन स्टॉप भग रहा था, वो कहीं रुकने की, वो पब्लिक उसके पीछे भागी जा रही। आगे पे एक मालूम हुआ कि एक खत्म हो गया है।
While the man died on the spot, 5 others suffered critical injuries in the accident. Watch how the driver of the car did not even stop to help the injured and fled the spot. Taking prompt and timely action, the police have arrested the driver of the speeding bolero, and an investigation too has been launched. Bureau Report, Republic TV.
Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
ISRO launches its smallest commercial rocket, small satellite launch vehicle, to put in orbit 2 satellites, offering cheap rides to space and eyeing a share in the burgeoning small satellite launch market. The objective of the SSLV is to place satellites EOS-02 and Azadi Sat into low Earth orbit. The liftoff of the rocket was scheduled at 9:18 a.m. from the first launch pad at the Satish Dhawan Space Center. About 13 minutes after the launch, the rocket is expected to place the EOS-02 and Azadi Sat into the intended orbit. Punjab Chief Minister Bhagwant Mann said that he will raise several key issues of the state, but according to sources, Chief Minister Mann will be raising issues about water and farmers in the NITI Aayog meet today. Chief Minister Mann slammed his predecessors Charanjit Singh Channi and Amrinder Singh for not attending such meetings earlier. After resigning from the Congress party, former Congress leader Dr. Dasoju Shravan is joining Bharatiya Janata Party. Tarun Chugh, the BJP leader, addressed the media and said that the BJP welcomes Dr. Shravan and a few other senior leaders into the party.
Dr. Shravan ji अपने वरिष्ठ साथियों के साथ भारतीय जनता पार्टी में शामिल हुए हैं। मैं भारतीय जनता पार्टी में उनका स्वागत करता हूं।
In a major crackdown on terrorism, the Assam police has been busting jihadi modules with links of Al-Qaeda affiliated terror outfits in Bangladesh for a very long time. Piyush Hazarika, the Assam minister, said that the Assam state government was strictly monitoring the security in the state.
हम लोग स्ट्रिक्टली मॉनिटरिंग कर रहा हूँ। कोई लोग जो जिहादी एक्टिविटीज में इन्वॉल्व है, सबको अरेस्ट किया जाएगा, सबका विरुद्ध है, सबका अगेंस्ट हम लोग करी का करी।
The road leading to Pathankot Airway was washed away. The primary reason cited was increased water flow in the Chakki River. Deputy Commissioner Pathankot Habir Singh explained that the following area came under Himachal Pradesh state government's jurisdiction and further added that both state governments were in coordination to resolve the crisis. And mobile data services suspended for 5 days in Manipur by the Manipur government as some anti-social elements were using social media to spread hate speeches. The decision came following report by Superintendent of Police of Bishnupur district that a vehicle was set ablaze by 3 to 4 men yesterday. Indian Army Chief General Manoj Pandey visited the forward areas of Poonch and Rajouri sectors. During his visit, the Army Chief reviewed the operational preparedness of the line of control. Now, General Pandey held a video telephonic interaction with South Korean counterpart and discussed steps to enhance bilateral defense ties between the two countries. Now, viewers, shifting our focus to some positive stories and also the kind of heartwarming visuals that we are picking up from Jabalpur in Madhya Pradesh, where students are seen interacting with the Jawans as well as to celebrate the Azadi ke Amrit Mahotsav. Let's take a look.
अभी आरती आरती आरती
Time now here for a short break, viewers. Coming up on the other side, Prime Minister Narendra Modi's crucial NITI Aayog meet implementation of the national education policy likely to be discussed.
Reading allows us to become familiar with ourselves.
We don't read, we won't know what is knowledge. I just find it very interesting to know people's lives, how they went through certain situations, how they dealt with things.
So wherever you want to go in life, if you read books along those lines, then that would really help you in growing.
Reading could mean a million different things to every individual. What does it mean to you? Visit readindia.info to find out more.
Congress has made a big remark saying that Lord Ram is being used by the centre to target the opposition.
They are trying to divert the attention of the common people by resorting the only weapon they have been using for decades long, that Ram, Ram, Ram.
Welcome back, viewers. Straight away cutting across to some more breaking updates that we are picking up now. During the early morning searches, the police team was attacked by some anti-social elements which led to law and order situation is what we're learning. As the miscreants were having sharp-edged weapons, 2 Jawans were injured in Kathua, and the police fired 2 rounds in the air. We are also learning now that the case has been registered and the investigation is underway. Now, these are the visuals that we are putting across on your screens right now from Kathua, where in the early morning searches that were being carried out by the authorities, the police team in fact had been attacked by some antisocial elements, which led to a law and order situation. And as these law and order situation was created by these miscreants who had sharp objects on them, at least 2 Jawans, we're learning, have sustained injuries. The police in fact had to fire 2 rounds in the air to get the situation under control, and now we are learning that the case has been registered. And viewers, we are continuing to bring you all the updates from this entire incident that has taken place in Kathua, but taking a short break here now, viewers, and getting you details of how
फौजी ने तिरंगे की लाज रखी। अगर विजय मिली तो तिरंगा लहराया, और अगर वीरगति मिली तो तिरंगे में लिपट कर आया, और ये उस फौजी का वादा था। मेरे साथ एक ऑफिसर था, मैंने उससे पूछा क्या मतलब है वॉर मेमोरियल में खाली पत्थर लगाना। उसने बोला कि सर, ये वादा है फौज का, ये वादा है इंडियन आर्मी का कि और कितने भी नाम इस पत्थर पे लिख दिए जाएं, ये तिरंगा ऐसे ही लहराता रहेगा। Long before I joined the media, I used to work for a retail company. And I remember what the CEO of the retail company told me one day. He said, Gaurav, you know, there are 3 things that you need to watch out for in retail, and if you get these 3 things right, nothing will go wrong. I asked him what those 3 things were. And he said, in retail, it is number 1, location, number 2, location, and number 3, location. Now you would be wondering why I'm talking about retail to you. Actually not. I'm talking about Pakistan. Hi, I'm Major Gaurav Arya and you're watching Checkmate. Ladies and gentlemen, Pakistan has exacted a very stiff geopolitical rent from the world for the past 75 years, ever since it came into being. From the day of its creation, Pakistan was part of the SEATO and CENTO alliances, spearheaded by the United States of America. And later on, Pakistan was part of the first war on terror, which happened very recently. And before that, Pakistan was also indirectly part of the first Afghan jihad. Now, Pakistan has played both sides of the table. Pakistan, at one point in time, was supporting the American CIA in getting even with the Russians. We all know the history that America has had with Russia and Vietnam. And obviously, that was at the peak of the Cold War. What Pakistan brought to the table was very simple. The Pakistani dictator Zia-ul-Haq said to the Americans that we know how you were humiliated in Vietnam by the Russians. We know how the Russians funded, trained and equipped the Viet Cong. We will do the same thing for you. For you, we will make Afghanistan Russia's Vietnam. Afghanistan was pumped in with billions of dollars in cash and weapons, giving rise to a culture
which is known as the heroin and the Kalashnikov culture in Pakistan today? Well, Pakistan got its money. And what Pakistan did was it played to the gallery. Now, why would Pakistan be important as far as Afghanistan is concerned? That is because Pakistan shares a border with Afghanistan. And that is because Afghanistan is a landlocked country. There is another country that shares a border with Afghanistan. There is another country that has a seaport. There is another country that has far better infrastructure than even Pakistan. That country also has oil. It has gas. But that country, since 1979, has been under sanctions of almost all of the Western world. Yes, I'm talking about Iran. The downfall of Iran in the diplomatic circles after 1979 was a lottery for the state of Pakistan. And Pakistan used its geopolitical location, its strategic location in the world to make money. So much so that Pakistanis forgot how to genuinely make money. They forgot how to expand the tax net. They forgot how they should improve their exports. They forgot the basics of economics because there were 2-3 things in their minds always. Number one, we are so geopolitically and strategically important that we cannot be allowed to fail. We are the only Muslim country in the world with an atom bomb, and hence we cannot be allowed to fail. And heaven forbid, if those atom bombs were to fall, if the nuclear weapons were to fall in the hands of terrorists, it would be the world's worst nightmare. Hence, the Western world, especially America, would keep on pumping dollar after dollar. And billions of dollars would keep Pakistan afloat. Now, 3 things happened, my friends, by which this entire equation changed. And the geopolitical rent that Pakistan felt was its due has stopped coming into Pakistan. Number one, the United States of America exited from Afghanistan. On 15th of August last year, the Americans, following an agreement that they had with Taliban, which was signed in Doha, suddenly, without much warning, decided to exit Afghanistan. Now, once the Americans left Afghanistan, there was nothing for the Americans or for much of the Western world to do there. And suddenly, Pakistan's importance came down to zero. Suddenly, the United States of America said that they wanted to focus on the Indo-Pacific, they wanted to focus on China, and more recently, ever since the Russian-Ukraine war started, their focus was towards Russia. America brushed aside Afghanistan and Pakistan. That was point number one. Point number two, nobody is willing to believe Pakistan's nuclear threats any longer. When a Pakistani minister says, "Pau pau kilo ke bomb," which is 250 grams, he's alluding to smaller nuclear devices. Nobody takes the Pakistani threat of nuclear war seriously any longer. Point number 3 is how Pakistan sold the idea of the China-Pakistan economic corridor to this entire world. And they said that it is here that China is going to be stationed, it is here that jobs will be created, it is here that the future of the world's prosperity will unfold. None of that happened. For the past 3 years, the China-Pakistan economic corridor is a dead duck. You know, it's on ventilator, people are trying to revive it, but there isn't much hope. There are security concerns, there is massive corruption in Pakistan. And of course, Imran Khan's policy of publicly announcing what is wrong with China-Pakistan economic corridor, that particularly has not endeared him with the Chinese. Now, it looks that Imran Khan will come back to power. At least that is what the analysts are saying. Now, coming back to the point about geopolitical rent, about location. You know, Iran out of the factor since 1979. Iran's support of the Hezbollah, of the Hamas, of various terror outfits. Iran having boxed itself into a corner. Iran who regularly threatens nuclear war and annihilation of the Jewish race. Iran that says that America is the great Satan. That Iran is today on the brink of collapse. And I will tell you exactly what India is doing and how it is going to be detrimental to the interests of Pakistan. Pakistan, as I said before, depended too much on its geostrategic location, which today nobody is pretty much interested in. Now, this geopolitical location, the geostrategic location of Pakistan gave Pakistan ideas of strategic depth. For example, Pakistan thought that it must have strategic depth inside Afghanistan. And how did it achieve that? The creation of the Taliban. One of the reasons behind the creation of Taliban, there were many, but one of the main reasons behind it were also the fact that Pakistan could claim strategic depth inside Afghanistan. They would have a friendly regime there. That friendly regime would ensure that anything which Pakistan thought was against the interest of Pakistan, especially vis-a-vis India, the Taliban would not allow that. And there were many suppositions on which Pakistan based its foreign policy of Afghanistan. That failed. That failed because ever since the Afghan Taliban have taken power in Kabul, more than 200 Pakistani soldiers have been killed by the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, which is pretty much the other side of the coin. There is no difference between the Afghan Taliban and the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan. And lately, with Baluch rebels and Baluch freedom fighters joining the TTP, Pakistan is living through its worst nightmare. That part about Pakistani soil being used by India against Pakistan and the Taliban would not allow that soil to be used against any other country, specifically Pakistan, turned out to be a big lie, because India was obviously not using Afghan soil against Pakistan, because India has been gone for almost a year now. It's almost a year. In the next 10 odd days, it will be 1 year since Taliban stormed to power. And Taliban has done nothing, not even a verbal condemnation of what the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan is doing to Pakistani state and the Pakistani military. That's number one. Number two, this entire thing about Iran. India is trying to mainstream Iran. And I will tell you why. Now, this may not come out of our foreign office, but the way India has been going about in building the North-South corridor. Now, this corridor originates in Russia. It originates in Russia, comes through via Iran, and comes all the way to India's western seaboard. A couple of shipments have already reached that way. Now, this gives India access to Europe. It gives India direct access to Russia. And it allows India to go to Central Asia without touching Pakistan or Afghanistan. Which means that if India wants to actually touch Afghanistan, go inside Afghanistan, it can use the North-South corridor. If India wants to go to Central Asia, it can use the North-South corridor. In effect, what it has done is largely mainstream Iran. Now, this is a long haul. It's not going to happen overnight. If anybody thinks that Iran is going to be mainstreamed like that, that's not going to happen, but in due course it will. There is also an estimate by people in India's foreign office that the Americans will be back in Afghanistan. Afghanistan was the route that Alexander the Great took. Afghanistan is the epicenter of the Great Game. Afghanistan has been central to global conflicts for the past 1,000 years. If the Americans come back to Afghanistan, let's say after 10-15 years, they should not use the Pakistan link. They should not use Ben Qasim port. They should not use the Gwadar port. They should not use any Pakistani port at all. If at all they need to go to Afghanistan, they can use the North-South corridor. India is building infrastructure at a rapid rate. We've heard about the Chawar port. We've heard about the Zardan railway line. There are other roads and connectivities that are being built by India. So this is something that is very, very important. Now coming back to location. Pakistan thought that the world will come to its rescue. If you look at the decline of the Pakistani rupee, it had started happening 1.5-2 years back. But after the Afghan Taliban stormed into Kabul, nobody in the world realized, except for a few think tanks working out of New Delhi and Washington, nobody else was talking about it. Nobody else was even saying for a moment that the Taliban coming to power in Kabul will directly impact the Pakistani rupee. Now, this is a job for crystal gazers, people who are analysts, who like to look at the world as a jigsaw puzzle and then slowly put it together. Now, what happened was America lost interest. America left overnight. And when America left, the dollars that had been coming since the time of Seato and Cento, that had come during the first Afghan Jihad, when Russia, between 1979 and 1989, when Russia was in Afghanistan, Or for the past 20 years, the war on terror after 9/11, when America was in Afghanistan, those containers full of dollars which would land at Bin Qasim port in Karachi and then be transported inside to Islamabad. You know, they say there is a joke in Pakistan, and they say that whenever America gives aid to Pakistan, whenever there are dollars flowing, or whenever America gives any sort of help, when Saudi Arabia, when China, when the UAE gives Pakistan aid or loans, the property prices in London and Dubai go up. That is the level of corruption of Pakistan. So what has happened in the recent past is those dollars have dried up. Today, as I speak to you, the Pakistani rupee is trading 250 to the US dollar. This basically does not mean that if you go with 250 rupees to the market, you will get a dollar. Because even there in the Pakistani open market, the dollar is selling at a premium of 15 to 20 rupees per dollar. The absolute flight of the dollar and the collapse of state institutions is something that has boxed Pakistan into the corner, and today Pakistan is unable, absolutely, to take advantage of its geopolitical location, the geopolitical rent, as I would like to put it. Pakistan does what China itself cannot do. What China cannot do overtly, Pakistan does covertly. So, with the China-Pakistan economic corridor having stalled, there are talks about how China and Pakistan want a third party involved in it. Geographically speaking, this could be Afghanistan. Nothing else makes sense. China has also signed MOUs worth $400 billion with Iran. Now, it is okay in the field of geopolitics for a nation to have multiple friends and partners. That is how it rolls. But China was depending upon Pakistan to guarantee security inside Afghanistan. And I want to make it easy for you to understand, so you understand what game China is playing.
Is computing in science and engineering an essential part of industry growth?
The technology is fast changing, and all the products that we are providing to the society, they require knowledge from interdisciplinary area.
Can the study of two different domains make students adept with problem solving?
I would just say that apart from getting the educational degrees, focus on developing skills for yourself.
To know more, watch Amrit School of Engineering presents Shaping the Future of India this weekend only on Republic TV.
मेरे साथ एक ऑफिसर था, मैंने उससे पूछा क्या मतलब है वॉर मेमोरियल में खाली पत्थर लगाना। उसने बोला कि सर, ये वादा है फौज का, ये वादा है इंडियन आर्मी का कि और कितने भी नाम इस पत्थर पे लिख दिए जाएं, ये तिरंगा ऐसे ही लहराता रहेगा।
There is a joke in Pakistan, and they say that whenever America gives aid to Pakistan, whenever there are dollars flowing, or whenever America gives any sort of help, when Saudi Arabia, when China, when the UAE gives Pakistan aid or loans, the property prices in London and Dubai go up. That is the level of corruption of Pakistan. So, what has happened in the recent past is those dollars have dried up. Today, as I speak to you, the United States of America gave money to Pakistan for two reasons. Number one, because it wanted to. Those were earlier days of the romance between Pakistan and the United States of America. And number two, it gave money to Pakistan because it had to. What actually happened was, when America wanted, as I mentioned earlier, when it wanted to enter Afghanistan, or when it wanted a counterweight in that region, America gave money to Pakistan. Pakistan was flush with US dollars. Pakistan's entire nuclear weapons program was because America chose to look the other way. Today, America has other concerns. And its primary concern is, what if Pakistan is run over by the Taliban? What if Pakistan is run over by radical Islamists? When I talk with Pakistani strategists, when I talk with Pakistani journalists, they always say that the Pakistani army is a professional army, and there is no way this can happen. There is no way that Pakistani nukes can fall into Taliban hands or the hands of radical Islamists. But that is not the point. That is not the point. The point is that the Pakistani military itself is so radicalized. There are people within the military who support Al-Qaeda. There are people within the military who support the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, the same organization that is killing Pakistani military personnel. There are people within the Pakistani military who support the Afghan Taliban. So whether the Pakistani nuclear assets fall into the Taliban hands or not is hardly the matter, is hardly a point of discussion. The point is that they are already into the hands of a highly Talibanized Pakistan army. Now, today America is afraid that Pakistani nuclear assets can be controlled by China. This fear is not misplaced. Pakistan itself, and let me tell you other things that are happening in Pakistan vis-a-vis China. Earlier we had this worry that there would be China to the east, and I'm talking from an Indian point of view, China to the east and Pakistan to the west. That was the initial fear. Two nuclear armed countries with which we have fought wars. Now the problem is China to the east and China to the west, because Pakistan for all practical purposes behaves like a colony of China. Pakistan does what China itself cannot do. What China cannot do overtly, Pakistan does covertly. So, with the China-Pakistan economic corridor having stalled, there are talks about how China and Pakistan want a third party involved in it. Geographically speaking, this could be Afghanistan. Nothing else makes sense. China has also signed MOUs worth $400 billion with Iran. Now, it is okay in the field of geopolitics for a nation to have multiple friends and partners. That is how it rolls. But China was depending upon Pakistan to guarantee security inside Afghanistan. And I want to make it easy for you to understand, so you understand what game China is playing. Now, Pakistan obviously has nothing to sell. There are no great brands coming from Pakistan. Pakistan has no technology. Pakistan has no manufacturing base. In fact, surprisingly, Pakistan, which is 60% to 70% agrarian, is a net importer of food grain. That is how bad Pakistan's economic state is. But the fact of the matter is, this is the last push for Pakistan to sell itself geopolitically. After having mortgaged its airports, after having mortgaged its highways, its superhighways, its institutions, after selling off percentages of its government-owned companies to UAE, now this is the next big plan to raise money. What Pakistan does in this case, if this comes to fruition and this actually happens, what Pakistan does is ensure the security of China inside Afghanistan. China is never going to put military personnel, Chinese military personnel inside Afghanistan. China does not do that. China attacks with a checkbook. Now, if the China-Pakistan economic corridor has to enter Afghanistan, there has to be someone who can assure the Chinese that their workers, their engineers will be safe inside Afghanistan. Now, the Afghan Taliban cannot do that. The Afghan Taliban, as I mentioned so many times before on television and on various other programs, is that the Taliban is not a homogeneous construct. It is an affiliation of various warlords who come under this umbrella organization called the Afghan Taliban. And this is exactly what China fears. There is another Chinese fear, that the Pakistanis have not been able to assure and guarantee security for Chinese people inside Pakistan. There have been over a dozen Chinese engineers and teachers who have been killed inside Pakistan. If Pakistani army cannot guarantee security of Chinese inside Pakistan, how can the Pakistani army guarantee security of Chinese inside Afghanistan? But this is exactly something that Pakistan has promised China. So China comes possibly using the Wakhan corridor or possibly using the current infrastructure inside Pakistan to branch off inside Afghanistan and reach Iran. This is another of China's plans. Frankly, China does not have too much of patience with Pakistan. China is losing patience very, very fast. China also feels that Pakistan has let down China. There have been talks and there have been accusations of pilfering of almost 20 to 25 billion US dollars of Chinese money by various Pakistani politicians and generals. So my friends, as I mentioned before, there was a time when America gave money to Pakistan for various projects, for various services rendered. And then America slowly and slowly started moving away from Pakistan, and there were these huge cries of, that we've been betrayed. The Pakistanis felt that they had been betrayed by the Americans. And this is exactly where China stepped in. With new money and a newly found confidence in its economy, China started investing very heavily inside Pakistan. I've just mentioned the China-Pakistan economic corridor. It was not as much a commercial enterprise as it was a strategic enterprise. Commercially, the China-Pakistan economic corridor does not make sense, at least for the Pakistanis, because even if $45 billion that the Chinese claim have been invested in Pakistan, there are no jobs to show for it. There are no industries to show for it. And today, Pakistan is seen begging for $1.5 billion of loan from the IMF. I mean, $45 billion is not small change. It is not loose change. And it would have had an impact on any country's economy. But it had zero impact on the economy of Pakistan. And China was actually thinking the opposite. China thought that something will come out of it, and nothing came out of it. So, America out, China in. Now, the next step was that most of the Pakistani generals have been trained in America. Their children study in America. They have properties in America, or the Western world for that matter. Europe, especially London, in Canada, in Toronto, in such cities, Pakistani generals have their children settled there, their wives there. They have foreign nationalities. Now, you see, no Pakistani generals' children are studying in Beijing. They don't have property in Beijing or in any Chinese city. Everything is invested abroad. And the Americans have known this for a very, very long time. The American State Department is on record saying that they've been backstabbed and betrayed by the Pakistanis. This is pretty much what Hillary Clinton said when she came to Pakistan, and then the Pakistanis were saying that, you're giving us money, but you've put too many terms and conditions. They said that to Hillary Clinton, and she snapped back saying that you don't have to take the money. You can say no. And the Pakistanis didn't have any response to that. They didn't have any answer to that. Coming back to my point about how the focus shifted, America's focus shifted. Donald Trump said no to war. He said, I'm going to be the first American president to pull out American troops, whether from Iraq or from Afghanistan, and he did just that. And when Joe Biden came into the picture, he followed through somewhat with this policy. And Joe Biden said that if there is any country of interest to the United States of America, it is India. I think it is not just strategically or geopolitically. Even at an emotional level, America had had enough of Pakistan, of Pakistani doublespeak, of Pakistani betrayal. And of course, of the Pakistanis constantly asking the Americans for money. Now, here are 4 countries who give Pakistan money. There is China, there is America, still through the IMF and other agencies. Then there is Saudi Arabia, and there is the UAE, the United Arab Emirates. These are the 4 countries or nations or groups of nations on which the existence of Pakistan depends. Lately, what China and Saudi Arabia have said is that, yes, we will give you money, provided you first get a loan from IMF. Because both of them believe that the IMF will do its own due diligence, and then giving Pakistan money would be safer. The truth is that the guarantors of Pakistan's security, the guarantors of Pakistan's sovereignty and economic well-being, these 4 countries that I mentioned have had enough of Pakistan. And this is something that is pinching Pakistan. You can say that the Pakistani elite, the political parties in Pakistan, are following a scorched earth policy. And no country is willing to invest in a country that is so politically unstable. Even IMF, who, as a matter of duty, comes to the rescue of nation states that are economically unstable or going bankrupt, has pulled its hand away because it does not see Pakistan going anywhere. There is no political stability or economic stability one can understand. The IMF usually deals with countries and nation states that are economically unstable. But there should be a modicum of political stability. With the kind of sound bites that are coming out of Pakistan, it's enough to scare everybody, including the IMF. So nobody wants to touch Pakistan as of now. So what is the future for Pakistan? Pakistan needs to recalibrate its strategies. Pakistan needs to understand that those days of getting money from America and from the rest of the world, the days of blackmailing the world, that, we will become unstable, we have nuclear weapons, those days are gone. Pakistan has not delivered on its promise. What Pakistan wants is countries around the world, financial institutions to keep giving Pakistan money after money without any accountability. Pakistan has no hope or plan of returning those monies to the people who gave them the money in the first place. But this is what Pakistan wants, that China, Saudi Arabia, America, and when I say America, I also mean the World Bank and IMF-like institutions, and of course, the United Arab Emirates, to keep signing check after check and keep Pakistan afloat. Now, that is unlikely to happen in the future. The world has moved on to the Indo-Pacific. America has found a new partner in India, and that partner, India, is not dependent upon America, and this is exactly what America likes right now. India does not go with a begging bowl to America and other countries asking for funds. India does not threaten the world. India is a responsible nuclear weapon state. This suits America just fine. It also suits India, and it suits the rest of the world. This has led to increasing isolation of Pakistan, and the threats that have been coming out of Pakistan recently have become more and more bizarre. But in the end, like the CEO of that retail company told me, that what is important in retail is location, location, and location. This no longer holds true of Pakistan, because Pakistan's days of exacting a geopolitical rent from the rest of the world are clearly over. Thank you for watching Checkmate. I'll catch you next week. Till then, have a great weekend. There is a joke in Pakistan, and they say that whenever America gives aid to Pakistan, whenever there are dollars flowing, or whenever America gives any sort of help, when Saudi Arabia, when China, when the UAE gives Pakistan aid or loans, the property prices in London and Dubai go up. That is the level of corruption of Pakistan. So what has happened in the recent past is those dollars have dried up. Today, as I speak to you, the Pakistani rupee is trading 250 to the US dollar. And today Pakistan is unable, absolutely, to take advantage of its geopolitical location, the geopolitical rent, as I would like to put it.
ISRO today will launch its smallest commercial rocket, small satellite launch vehicle, to put in orbit 2 satellites, offering cheap rides to space and eyeing a share in the burgeoning small satellite launch market. The Azadi sat has been designed by 750 girl students from government schools across the country to mark the 75th anniversary of India's independence. Samyukt Kisan Morcha will launch its nationwide campaign today against Centre's Agnipath scheme for military recruitment scheme, claiming that scheme is a serious setback to farming families. Ex-Union Minister RCP Singh quit JD.
In the terminal phase of the mission, some data loss is occurring, that we are currently in the process of analyzing the data to conclude on the final outcome of the mission with respect to a stable orbit achieved or not.
ISRO scripts history, launches Azadi sat into orbit to mark Azadi ka Amrit Mahotsav. With NEP implementing topping the agenda, Prime Minister Modi chairs key NITI Aayog meet in national capital. Mega row over KCR and Nitish Kumar skipping the meet. BJP hits back, says stop the politics. Day 2 of CISF Jawans who opened fire at Kolkata Museum's interrogation. Big political face-off erupts over Urdu language in Jharkhand schools now. India shines bright and high at Birmingham, medal tally at 40 now. You're watching Live and Breaking on Republic. I'm Rukma, and in our top story right now, the National Investigation Agency is conducting searches and has arrested one accused in the activities of ISIS module in a case associated with this. And search is being conducted in the residential premises of one accused, and the NIA has named him as Mohsin Ahmed, a son of Mohammed Shakil Ahmed, who is a resident of Japani Gully, Jogabai Extension in Butler House, New Delhi. The case was registered by the NIA on the 25th of June this year under sections 153A, 153B of IPC and sections 18, 18B, 38, 39 and 40 of the UA Act. Joining us is our correspondent Piyush Mishra. Piyush, when we talk about the NIA, we believe that this is a case related to an ISIS module, an ISIS terror module from Butler House in New Delhi. Tell us more.
Well, absolutely, Rukma. A big ISIS module has been busted by the National Investigation Agency. What we are now given to understand is that raids were conducted there at Jogabai area in Butler House late last night, from where this man has been arrested. And he hails from Bihar. This is what we are learning. He has now been arrested by the National Investigation Agency, and multiple sections have been slapped in that particular FIR. And also, I'm going to read from a press release which has been issued by a National Investigation Agency, where it says, and I'm quoting from that particular statement from NIA, NIA conducts search and arrests one accused in the activities of ISIS module case. NIA conducted searches in residential premises of accused Mohsin Ahmed, who is son of Mohammed Shakil Ahmed, presently residing at F18/27 Japani Gully, Jogabai Extension, Butler House. So NIA is telling us the details from where this arrest has been made. In fact, NIA further goes on to add that the case was earlier registered suo motu by the NIA on 25th of June 2022 under sections 153A, 153B of IPC and section 18, 18B, 38, 39 and 40 of UPA Act. The arrested accused is a radicalized and active member of the proscribed terrorist organization ISIS. He has been arrested. Big arrest has been made by NIA, and earlier NIA had registered a case on 25th of June. Now he has been arrested from Jogabai extension in Bhatla area of Delhi. What we are also learning is that more and more people are now on the radar of ISIS, and a big arrest has been made by NIA just ahead of the 15th August celebrations, Independence Day celebrations. Remember that there are multiple sections which have also been put in that particular FIR, which has been filed by National Investigation Agency. So multiple people were on radar. One person has been arrested, and he hails from Bihar. He was living here for the last few months. In fact, he was very much active on social media, and according to sources, he was also trying to do brainwashing of other people, and that is why he also came on radar of National Investigation Agency. Now we'll have to wait and watch how the investigation in this case is further going to proceed. But yes, a big arrest has been made, and just ahead of the Independence Day celebrations. Remember that the country is already celebrating, and we know week-long celebrations are going on of Azadi Amrit Mahotsav, 75 years of independence. Ahead of that, NIA was keeping a close watch on all the movements, and one arrest has been made. And indeed, after this arrest, we can expect more and more details to tumble out, more and more people who are in touch with him, who are the people who became prey of his activities, where he was brainwashing people. He was very much active on social media. He hails from Bihar. These are the details which we are right now picking. Rukma.
Well, many thanks, Piyush, for all those details. So breaking news coming in now from the national capital. Major breakthrough for the National Investigation Agency as it conducts searches in a suspected ISIS operative in Butler House, New Delhi. Our correspondent Piyush Mishra there at the scene giving us all the updates. And now moving on to other breaking news stories. Another major breaking development there. Ashok Gehlot, Rajasthan Chief Minister, has stoked a massive controversy. A major controversy has broken out over Rajasthan Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot's remark on rape. Now, the BJP has hit out at Gehlot, who had stated that due to the law on the hanging of culprits after the Nirbhaya case, incidents of murder after rape have increased. He said this is a dangerous trend in the country, being seen in the country. Now, Rajasthan Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot stoking a new controversy there. The BJP hitting back. Let's listen in to know more.
Once again, the Congress party has shown that Congress ka haath rapists ke saath. This is the Congress's Balatkari Bachao Andolan. Ashok Gehlot's statement is extremely shocking when he says that it is not the rapist, but in fact the rape laws, the stringent rape laws that were created after Nirbhaya, which took place under the watch of the UPA government, that is responsible for murders after rape. Does he mean to say, and does the Congress mean to say, that there should be less stringent laws against rapes? That there should be weak laws against rapists? This is the mindset of the Congress party, particularly in Rajasthan, which is responsible for Rajasthan becoming the #1 state when it comes in women atrocities and in rapes in the last 3.5 years. This kind of justification and this kind of support being given to the rapists and slamming the rape laws is extremely disgusting, and it shows the mindset which the Congress operates. Will Priyanka Vadra ji, who says ladki hu lad sakti hu, but in Rajasthan it seems to be ladki hu kya bach sakti hu. Priyanka Vadra ji does vulture politics across India on the issue of women atrocities. But time and again, when misogynistic statements, patriarchal and sexist statements are made against women, when statements in favor of rapists are made, when no action is taken on the rape cases, whether in Alwar or rape cases by the sons of MLAs and ministers in Rajasthan, at that time Priyanka Vadra is eloquently silent. Today, will she take a stand? Does the Congress party advocate weaker laws, less stringent laws against rapists? The entire law and order situation in Rajasthan has gone for a toss, whether it's rapes or riots.
And joining us now is our correspondent Harsha, who is on this story. Harsha, we were just listening in to Shehzad Poonawala's bite, and what he had to say. It's a shocking statement, first and foremost, from the Rajasthan Chief Minister. It's rather insensitive as well, his comments on rape, and now we see a war of words erupting as the BJP hits back. First of all, but Harsha, tell us about the comment. When was it made? Was there a particular occasion? Or was it in reply to a question? Give us more details.
Exactly. First of all, the question you asked, that when was this statement made? Let me clearly tell you that a few weeks before, a death penalty was being said for the rape cases in the Rajasthan. Let us also say that this is not the first time when Ashok Gehlot had said such thing, because in May we have clearly seen when Ashok Gehlot gave the first statement that the rape happens in the state because of unemployment, and when BJP again hit out at Ashok Gehlot saying that in Rajasthan there are 20% more cases of unemployment as compared to other states, and this is not the first time when the death penalty for the rape victims was being discussed in Rajasthan. It was at that time when Ashok Gehlot clearly stated that death penalty should not be given to the rape victims, clearly because of these death penalties they go after to murder after committing rape. Such statements were heard from Ashok Gehlot, and now he is clearly receiving backlashes and lot of flack from the people of Rajasthan as well, because he has been boycotted in Udaipur, in Abu Road and Ahmedabad as well. Earlier a week back, it was his travel as was planned in Udaipur, Abu Road and Ahmedabad. He cancelled all his plan, seeing the backlash, the kind of backlash he was receiving from the people of Rajasthan. But he stated that he is not well, therefore he is not going. But this is not the first time. On one side, Congress leaders clearly talk about ladki hu, lad sakti hu. It was the entire campaign during UP election which we saw Priyanka Gandhi Vadra stating. But if we talk about other Congress leaders stating statements like this, which is very insensitive towards the women of the country, and is quoting the Nirbhaya incident. He said all these things which was clearly not accepted by the women and the masses of Rajasthan. Now he is clearly receiving backlashes, not only Shehzad Poonawalla but Nalin Kohli and many BJP-led leaders along with women leaders as well are protesting against this statement of Ashok Gehlot, which is very insensitive. They are talking, when we are talking about women rights and women equality in the country, when the demands for women are being stated, and when the death penalty is a big topic in the center as well as in many states regarding the rape accused, then why Ashok Gehlot is giving such statements? And now continuously the reactions from BJP leaders are coming in, and clearly Ashok Gehlot has cancelled all his travel this week and further week as well to different states and different places, receiving the flack and backlash because of his statement. Clearly there are many leaders and women leaders as well who are demanding his sorry, and they clearly want that he should apologize to the women of the entire nation, not only Rajasthan where he has said statements like this. So therefore these are the comments and reactions we are receiving in the regards of the statement which have been said by Ashok Gehlot. Back to the studio.
So Ashok Gehlot there making some shocking statements, inviting the backlash of the BJP, in particular Shehzad Poonawalla speaking, saying that it is to be expected. The Rajasthan Chief Minister has just said that the death penalty that was awarded to those convicted in the Nirbhaya case has led to Gaurav Bhatia of the BJP now joining us. Sir, your reactions to the shocking statement. He's blaming the laws and not the rapists for increasing cases of rape in the state. Well, first, however, before going on to speak with Mr. Gaurav Bhatia, let's listen in to what Mr. Ashok Gehlot has said earlier too on this issue.
जो बेरोजगारी बहुत भयंकर है, महंगाई का जमाना है, उनका हम देखते हैं अर्थव्यवस्था पनप रहे हैं। आज जो क्राइम बढ़ रहा है देश और प्रदेश के अंदर सब जगह सभी तरह का क्राइम बढ़ रहा है। कानून व्यवस्था की स्थिति, हिंसा के आपके धर्म के नाम पर हिंसा तो गणमान्य जानते हो कि किन की नीति में वो है, परंतु छोटी छोटी बातों में झगड़े हो रहे हैं, तनाव और हिंसा बढ़ रही है, धर्म के नाम पर हो रहा है। इन तमाम जो माहौल बनता है कहीं रेप हो रहे हैं बच्चों के साथ में, और बच्चों ने जब से कर दिया है कि भाई उसको फौजी सजा मिलेगी। अबे कांड जो निर्भया के बाद में जो कर दिया है आपको फांसी सजा मिलेगी, ठीक है। उसके बाद में हत्याएं बहुत ज्यादा होने लग गई बच्चों में। रेप करने वाला देखता है कि ये तो गवाह बन जाएगी अगर मेरे खिलाफ में, वो रेप भी करते हैं और हत्या भी कर देते हैं बच्चों की। ये बहुत बड़ी चलन पूरे मुल्क में मैं देख रहा हूँ, जो रिपोर्ट आ रही है बहुत खतरनाक ट्रेंड है। तो मैं समझता हूँ कि तमाम बातें देश के अंदर जो हालात हैं वो एक लोकतंत्र के लिए बहुत बड़ा संकट का समय है। हमने ऐसा समय कभी नहीं देखा। और वैसे आप देख रहे हो कि आज जो
Let's go across to get reactions from Mr. Gaurav Bhatia of the BJP. Mr. Bhatia, we were just listening to that comment by Mr. Ashok Gehlot. He's the Chief Minister of Rajasthan, the Chief Minister of a state where there are increasing cases of rape. Now we hear another shocking statement. He says stricter laws like the death penalty in the Nirbhaya case have led to murders after rape cases. Your reactions?
It's a shocking statement and reflects the sick mentality of Ashok Gehlot and the Congress party. He is trying to justify the acts of the rapists, and this is when Rajasthan for the last number of years have witnessed the highest number of rape incidents. And is it the first time he is making such a shocking comment? The answer is no, because earlier also Mr. Ashok Gehlot infamously said, "Chota rape hota hai." Can
such a heinous crime be termed as Chota rape and Bada rape? It is high time Sonia Gandhi ji should speak on the subject, should take action against Ashok Gehlot, and if she truly respects the dignity of every woman of India, such a chief minister should be sacked forthwith.
Mr. Bhatia, it raises the question when we hear such comments from somebody, an elected representative of the people, when we hear such comments, it raises the question of how serious a crime our legislators, our leaders think rape is even in today's date.
Absolutely. The law was amended. The Criminal Law Amendment Act was brought after the Nirbhaya case. And nothing could be more heinous than actually taking away the dignity of a woman. And rather than preventing such crimes, rather than ensuring that women are safe in Rajasthan, he is trying to blame the law, when actually it's the lawmaker that has to take responsibility. And therefore he has failed as a chief minister, and this is unpardonable.
Right. Right, Mr. Bhatia, many thanks for your sharing your thoughts with us. So the BJP hitting back at the Rajasthan Chief Minister over this shocking comment. Let's go across live now, getting you inside visuals of the NITI Aayog meeting being chaired by Prime Minister Narendra Modi and attended by Chief Ministers of and Lieutenant Governors of states and union territories. A number of important, that's the photo op, that's a commemorative photo that your photograph being taken. Meanwhile, these are inside visuals of the meeting as it's underway. A number of important and crucial issues likely to come up for discussion. This is the first such meeting after all the lockdowns and the pandemic, being attended in person by chief ministers and lieutenant governors of states and union territories. Harsha taking us through the events as they happen. Harsha, what's happening now? We believe that it's a very significant brainstorming session with the centre and the states coming together to discuss their issues and to share ideas.
Exactly. We saw that the NITI Aayog Governing Council meeting started at 10 o'clock PM. Narendra Modi is chairing the meeting, and in this meeting, there are very important decisions regarding the National Education Policy 2022 and regarding the different infrastructure, farming and agriculture production is being discussed in this meeting. Now, we are seeing the visuals from inside the NITI Aayog Governing Council meeting, which is being chaired by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Clearly, the discussions and presentations of the things which are very important. Firstly, the National Education Policy 2022 is being discussed because how to enhance the urban education, and not only that, how to make a better education system in the country. This education policy is clearly being discussed, and it was a long time pending because clearly before in 2020 also National Education Policy was being discussed, and now the entire draft and presentation regarding this National Education Policy 2022 is being discussed. How to make a better education system in the country, how to make a managed education system for everyone getting education from village to panchayat or block level to till the center or national level or state level should achieve. So how a syllabus could be made better, all those things will come into this national education policy which is being discussed. Now exactly the brainstorming session is happening because the chief secretaries were clearly beforehand in Dharamshala given the agenda of this meeting, NITI Aayog Governing Council meeting beforehand only. Therefore some drafts and presentation and speeches have been made by state authorities as well. Firstly the dignitaries and the officials from the center ministry, because there are many cabinet ministers who are also present in this meeting, which clearly make, and then the draft and presentation from the states will be heard that what are they thinking about this national education policy, how the education in the state can be enhanced, and how it can make a compliance with the center, and it can clearly work for the state and center as well, because very important that the education system at the urban level should be strengthened at a different levels, that the students who are being educated at panchayat level or at block level should get the similar kind of education as those living in the city or in the center. So these are clearly the issues which are being discussed in NITI Aayog Governing Council meeting, and at 5 PM today, NITI Aayog VC will
be coming back to you. You keep your eyes on that story. We are getting all the visuals and all the updates. Varsha, correspondent on the ground, Republic, bringing you each and every update as it happens. Joining us now, our senior executive editor, to put this story into some perspective, Abhishek Kapoor joining us. Abhishek, it's a very significant meeting of the Governing Council of NITI Aayog. Chief ministers of almost all the states and union territories, the lieutenant governors, chief secretaries attending along with members of the cabinet. Is the first such in-person meeting after the pandemic and all those lockdowns. Take us through its significance.
Well, yes, the importance lies in the fact that this is an annual feature. So only once in a year, what Prime Minister calls Team India, and it comes together to discuss the issues of the day, the nagging issues between centre and state, and overall governance issues which impinge upon the quality of life of common man or common woman. So I think in that sense, it's a very important meeting. And despite the fact that we have seen some element of politicking, be it KCR, the Telangana Chief Minister, absenting himself, or for that matter, an ally in Nitish Kumar not coming in, obviously not giving exact explanation, but there seems to be some, trouble with the alliance pair in Bihar, which is reflecting in the absence of Nitish Kumar from this very important meeting. The fact that it's happening after a brief break because of the pandemic. Also, it is happening in the 75th year of independence. So there would be that opportunity to do some long-term crystal ball gazing as Team India, the Prime Minister, plus the Chief Ministers, plus all the Lieutenant Governors, essentially the entire political executive of the country coming together. Now, if you look at the subjects that are to be deliberated upon, there has to be one presentation by External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar on India's impending G20 presidency, and we would be president for a year, beginning end of this year, and it's going to be a very big opportunity to really showcase India's prowess as an emerging power in terms of organizational skills, in terms of its development parameters, in terms of its human development index, and overall projection as a power to reckon with in times to come. So I think that presentation would be important. Apart from that, very nuts and bolt issues of governance which really affect life on the ground. So for example, the NITI Aayog has to discuss crop diversification and focus on edible oil and pulses. Now, why it is important? Because in the case of edible oil, at least we are importing almost 65% of our requirements, and that dependence on foreign supplies for such an important component of our diet really reflects poorly on our trade balance situation and above all the food security situation. So I think it's important that Team India comes together and discusses that very important aspect, how to increase the production of pulses and oilseeds to almost double. That's the target that has been set by NITI Aayog. Obviously, every state would have to say something on that. Then, of course, a project which is very close to Prime Minister's heart and which is about the national education policy, all the changes that have been made. It's been there for a year now. So the implementation issues, whatever teething troubles that the states have had, all the chief ministers and their respective teams really get an opportunity to update the center on how the education policy has panned out, what it has done, what it has not done, what are the areas of improvement. So obviously the entire machinery of the bureaucracy would be present there to take notes. So in that sense, it's a very important meeting. Apart from that, there are issues of corporate governance and then whatever the chief ministers raise. So I'm told that in the day-long meeting, chief ministers get about 5 hours to speak. Of course, it would be divided among the 30-odd chief ministers and the LGs that are present. But this really provides a very important feedback mechanism to the center to tie the loose ends in whatever schemes are there. And of course, as I said, it's one of the most important platforms to really bring cooperative federalism into play. Chief ministers so desire, they can really speak their mind out, and those issues can be really pursued then at the individual level. And if there are other states which have similar problems, then there is the mechanism of forming committees of those states to really come with a solution on that front. So I think a very important meeting taking place there. We in the pictures have seen the Team India customary picture that is taken ahead of the meeting. Then we had Prime Minister engaging over tea with all the guests present in the hall before the meeting started. And of course, in these pictures, we are seeing the actual meeting going on. So apart from KCR of Telangana and Nitish Kumar of Bihar, everyone present there, and hopefully fruitful discussions and long-term, crystal ball gazing on policy done with this very important NITI Aayog Governing Council meet.
Well, many thanks, Abhishek.
Details of the very important NITI Aayog Governing Council meeting. Now here's the time for a short break on Republic. You are watching Republic TV. Stay tuned because we are bringing you all the live updates and breaking regarding this NITI Aayog Governing Council meeting. Stay tuned. We'll be right back after a short break.
Reading allows us to become familiar with ourselves.
We don't read, we won't know what is knowledge. I just find it very interesting to know people's lives, how they went through certain situations, how they dealt with things.
So wherever you want to go in life, if you read books along those lines, then that would really help you in growing.
Reading could mean a million different things to every individual. What does it mean to you? Visit readindia.info to find out more.
These protesters have blocked the main ITO road.
Nancy Pelosi lands and she's coming down now. Nancy Pelosi.
A quick look at other top international stories. A top Taiwan official who led the missile development team of the self-governed Democratic Island nation was found dead in a hotel room yesterday. This development comes about at a time of tensions between the US and China over US House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's visit to Taiwan. As per latest reports, the cause of death was a heart attack. Sri Lanka has asked China to delay the arrival of a high-tech spy ship, Yuan Wang 5, after India allegedly expresses opposition to the recce ship mapping the strategically important seafloor just off India's coast. Ordering the ship was to refuel at the Chinese-run port in Sri Lanka at a time when Sri Lanka is fighting a serious fuel crisis.
Nine, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
The headlines at this hour. ISRO scripts history, launches Azadi sat into orbit to mark Azadi ka Amrit Mahotsav. With NEP implementing topping the agenda, Prime Minister chairs key NITI Aayog meet in national capital. Mega row over KCR and Nitish Kumar skipping meet. BJP hits back, says stop the politics. Rajasthan Chief Minister Gehlot's remark on rape sparks huge controversy. BJP lambasts Ashok Gehlot. Day 2 of CISF Jawan who opened fire at Kolkata Museum's interrogation. Big political face-off erupts over Urdu language in Jharkhand schools now.
Hello and welcome viewers. Thank you for tuning into Republic TV. I am Priyanka Sharma. We are live in breaking and of course we are tracking for you the latest. Let's get you all the breaking updates as far as the FIR is concerned that has been lodged against the Noida abusive man. Now the Noida police has registered another FIR against Shrikant Tyagi is what we're learning. Now the case has been registered under section 419, 420, 482 of the Indian Penal Code, and till now a total of 2 FIRs have been registered against Shrikant Tyagi in Noida. Now remember, we had seen the video that had gone viral of this man abusing the woman inside of a society complex is what we had seen. Now another FIR that has been lodged against the Noida abusive man is what we are seeing. How the Noida police has registered yet another FIR against Shrikant Tyagi, and the case has been registered under section 419, 420, 482 of the Indian Penal Code. And as of now, viewers, we had seen that till now total of 2 FIRs had been registered against Shrikant Tyagi in Noida, and I believe Piyush Mishra is joining us on the broadcast with more details. Piyush, tell us more about this FIR that has been registered. What are the sections that have been levied against it? And trouble mounts for this man, isn't it?
Well, absolutely. What we are now given to understand is that another FIR has been registered by the Noida police. Remember that a 48 hours deadline has been kept to arrest this man, and now what we are given to understand is that another FIR has been registered and multiple sections have been put in that FIR. And I'm also going to read through the information which we are getting. FIR under 419, 420, 482 of IPC has been registered. That's the second FIR which has been registered by Noida police, and investigations are going on to nab this man, Shrikant Tyagi. Remember that he is on run since the time this video of him manhandling, misbehaving with the woman in Noida had surfaced on social media. At the time, multiple complaints were also filed. In fact, it was also told by the woman that this was not the first case, very case in which Shrikant Tyagi had misbehaved with a woman. Earlier also he had done this. Since the time this video also came out, Noida police registered a case, and in fact they started looking for him. As of now he's still on run, but now Noida police have registered another FIR, and under various sections this FIR has been registered. In fact, it is also important to highlight as to how Noida police, on the very day when the video had surfaced, suo motu cognizance was taken by Noida police, and they had started looking for this man. In fact, his locations are also being tried to ascertain. Many people are in touch with Noida police. They are trying to get in a word from the family members also, but as of now he is still on run, though the police is saying that in another 48 hours he will be brought to justice. He will be caught by Noida police. This is what the authorities are telling us. But now what we are learning is that another FIR has been registered, and that also under multiple sections.
Well, of course, Piyush, but also tell us about what's happening in the political fraternity, because yesterday we had seen that this man had claimed in his social media posts that he belongs to the BJP, but the BJP leaders in fact have come out and said that there's no place for such a man in the Bharatiya Janata Party. Take us through the details of that political development as well as far as this story is concerned.
Well, Priyanka, if we talk about the political development, remember that the parties like Samajwadi Party, Congress are hitting out at BJP by saying that their senior leader has involved now is being seen indulged in such activities. On the other side, BJP has come out and BJP has said that he is not part of BJP. In fact, he does not hold any position in any kind of wing of Bharatiya Janata Party, and that is why Mahesh Sharma, who is also MP from Noida, had come out and told to the people that in another 48 hours he will be caught, though he is still on run. In fact, Mahesh Sharma had also claimed that Union Home Minister Amrit Shah is also very much concerned about this. In fact, he has also taken note of this entire incident. But on the other side, Congress, Samajwadi Party and other opposition political parties, they continue to hit out at BJP after this video surfaced by saying that Shrikant Tyagi is one of the top man of BJP in Noida wing of Uttar Pradesh. On the other side, BJP has refuted all all these claims. BJP has said that he does not belong to any kind of wing of BJP. We'll have to wait and watch how the police is further going to do investigation. Second FIR has been registered and police is continuously trying to get in touch with all the people who are in touch with him, in fact who were in touch with him, and is looking for all the locations where he could be there.
Piyush, there, viewers getting us the details of these developments as far as more FIRs are concerned in this matter that are now being registered by the Delhi police. Thank you, Piyush, for joining us. Now, viewers, we have seen celebratory images from across the country as far as the Har Ghar Tiranga campaign is concerned. Here are more images and reports that we're getting for you.
हर घर तिरंगा की जो थीम है उसको आगे पहुंचा रहे हैं, मैराथन कर रहे हैं। आप क्या कहते हैं?
ये जो मैराथन है ये यही दिखाती है कि सुबह 5-5 बजे उठ के सब लोग जो ये जज्बा दिखा रहे हैं, तिरंगे के लिए भागने आ रहे हैं। दूर दूर से मेरे को पता चला पानीपत से भी लोग यहाँ पर भागने आए हैं इस तिरंगे के लिए। तो ये जज्बा ही हमारे देश वालों का और ये एक पेट्रियोटिक फीलिंग है जो हमने जगाने की कोशिश करी है एंड मुझे पूरा विश्वास है कि हम इसमें सक्षम उतरे हैं।
कितने किलोमीटर दौड़े आप?
ये हमारा टोटल जो मैराथन था दिस वॉज अराउंड 6 किलोमीटर्स, ठीक है। और पूरे जोश के साथ सारे हर एज ग्रुप के लोग यहाँ पे थे। और एक मैसेज मेरा ये भी है कि सिर्फ अगस्त के महीने में पेट्रियोटिक होने की कोई ज़रूरत नहीं है। पूरे साल के 12 महीने आपको पेट्रियोटिक होना है, दिन के 24 घंटे और हफ्ते में 7 दिन आपको पेट्रियोटिक होना है और रहना है। तो ये हमारा मैसेज था।
और देश प्रेम आपके मन में।
2 लाइन में कविता की बोलना चाहूँगा। कोटि कोटि कंठों ने गाया माँ का गौरव गान है, कोटि कोटि कंठों ने गाया माँ का गौरव गान है। एक रहे हैं एक रहेंगे भारत की संतान है, एक रहे हैं एक रहेंगे भारत की संतान है। 2 लाइन और हमें। रुक ना पाए तूफानों में सबसे आगे बढ़े कदम, जीवन पुष्प चढ़ाने निकले माता के चरणों में हम। वंदे मातरम, वंदे मातरम, वंदे मातरम, वंदे मातरम, भारत वंदे मातरम, जय भारत वंदे मातरम।
तो देखिए आप यहाँ पर देख सकते हैं लोगों के अंदर बहुत जोश है, लेकिन सबसे बड़ी बात है कि झंडा ऊंचा रहे हमारा, विजय विश्व तिरंगा प्यारा। तो ये मैसेज यहाँ पर हर किसी ने पहुँचाने की कोशिश की है। दिल्ली के कनॉट प्लेस से ये आवाज़ निकली है और पूरी कोशिश ये रहेगी कि पूरा जो ये महीना है, बल्कि साल के 12 महीने, या ये कह सकते कि हम अपनी लाइफ के अंदर ये एक नई सोच लेकर आए, अपने तिरंगे के प्रति, अपने देश के प्रति प्रेम जगाए।
Cutting across to some more breaking updates that we're getting for you viewers. Chief Minister Nitish Kumar called for a meeting after RCP Singh's resignation. And the Chief Minister to hold the meeting with all party MPs in Patna on Tuesday is what we're learning. All MPs have been instructed to come to Patna by Monday evening. And all JDU MPs, including party President Lalan Singh, will be involved as well. Now, these are the latest as far as Nitish Kumar is concerned. Viewers, we are getting you the latest as far as Nitish Kumar has called a meeting with RCP Singh's resignation. Now, the Chief Minister is to hold a meeting with all party MPs in Patna on Tuesday. And all MPs have been instructed to come to Patna by Monday evening is the latest that we are getting for you. And viewers, we had seen how Nitish Kumar had been making the headlines since morning as far as the NITI Aayog meeting is concerned. And the Chief Minister Nitish Kumar has called for a meeting after RCP Singh's resignation has come to light, and the Chief Minister is set to hold a meeting with all party MPs in Patna on Tuesday is the latest that we are bringing for you. All MPs have been instructed to come to Patna by Monday evening, so they will be reaching by Monday evening itself. And all JDU MPs, including the party president Lalan Singh, will be involved as well. And viewers, on this massive story, we're getting back-to-back developments as far as RCP Singh is concerned. RCP Singh will fight a legal battle against the JDU, and he will file a defamation case against the leaders who are trying to malign his image, is what we are learning. Now we are seeing how the developments of RCP Singh are really taking place since morning, and now RCP Singh, we have learned, will fight a legal battle against the JDU. And Prakash is joining us on the broadcast. Prakash, put this entire defamation case that RCP Singh is talking about filing into perspective, and also put his talk about his resignation, if you can.
RCP Singh is planning to file a defamation case against the JDU and the concerned leaders who have tried to defame him by issuing a so-called notice and putting it into public domain, a letter as well as the details of the property in his family member's name, that is his wife and 2 daughters. RCP Singh says that all the properties have been filed in the ITR by his daughters, who are advocates, and also into the Indian Police Service. Now, an effort has been made to defame him. And yesterday, RCP Singh also resigned from the JDU after this whole propaganda, according to him, was made by the JDU. And we believe that at 4 p.m. today, the JDU National President Rajiv Ranjan Singh alias Lalan Singh and Upendra Kushwaha will be holding a press conference today in the party office to rebut those charges again. And we'll have to wait and watch how this politics unfolds in future. We have been witnessing that of late there has been internal bickering within the NDA, and the relationship between the JDU and the BJP is not good, and it can even lead to the breakup of the alliance in future, which will not be surprising at all, because RCP Singh's close proximity to the BJP is seen as a matter of fact that he's being targeted by the JDU. So political developments unfolding in Bihar again. And because of the fact that ever since the Bihar Assembly elections was held in 2020, the relationship with the BJP and the JDU has not been well. Back to you.
Speaking at a ceremony to mark the 77th anniversary of the Hiroshima atomic bombing, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres at the Hiroshima Peace Memorial says it is unacceptable for states in possession of nuclear weapons to admit the possibility of nuclear war.
Crises with grave nuclear undertones are spreading fast, from the Middle East to the Korean Peninsula to Russia's invasion of Ukraine. It is totally unacceptable for states in possession of nuclear weapons to admit the possibility of nuclear war.
Chinese media releases footage of its military conducting training exercises north, southwest and east of the island of Taiwan. China dispatched Navy ships, warplanes and launched missiles into the Taiwan Strait in response to a visit this week by U.S. Speaker of the House of Representatives, Nancy Pelosi. Amid the U.S.-China crisis, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken meets with Philippines President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. During his visit, Blinken calls upon China and Taiwan to manage differences peacefully. Russian state news agency shares footage of the Zaporizhia nuclear plant in Enerhodar. The video features smoke rising above the site. According to the agency, local authorities reported new shelling by the Ukraine.
Here's some news from across the country in brief. With the crop diversification, self-sufficiency of oilseed, pulse and agri communities, implementation of the National Education Policy and Urban Governance talk.
This full road has been blocked by the Congress workers, the high voltage drama.
Nancy Pelosi lands in Taiwan.
In a shocking video making rounds on social media, watch how half a dozen miscreants brutally thrashed a young man and wife in Madhya Pradesh's Gwalior. The incident was reported near Birla Nagar Bridge over a parking issue at a vegetable market. Police informed that the youth was brutally stabbed several times while his wife too was thrashed. While the injured were rushed to the hospital immediately, investigation too has been launched to nab the accused at the earliest. Bureau Report for Republic TV.
So ISRO scripts history, launches Azadi sat into orbit to mark Azadi ka Amrit Mahotsav. All the updates minute by minute and second by second here on Republic TV. Stay tuned.
Here's some news from across the country in brief. With the crop diversification, self-sufficiency of oilseed, pulse and agri communities, implementation of the National Education Policy and Urban Governance topping the agenda of the 7th Governing Council meeting, Prime Minister Modi is set to chair the NITI Aayog meet today. Massive row has now erupted over the NITI Aayog meet with Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar and Telangana Chief Minister KCR's decision to skip the meeting. While Nitish Kumar stated recovery from COVID the reason for his absence, KCR called this a mark of protest against the present discrimination trend of the centre towards the state.
तेलंगाना के मुख्यमंत्री श्री के चंद्रशेखर राव जी ने आज घोषणा की कि वो नीति आयोग की बैठक में कल उपस्थित नहीं होंगे। बहुत दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण है कि वो अपनी राजनीतिक सोच इससे उजागर करते हैं।
Hitting back at KCR's statement, NITI Aayog has now said the number of measures are already in place to closely work with states. Over 30 meetings that were held in the chief ministers of various states last year. Despite requests, KCR had not responded. Civil Aviation Minister Jyotiraditya Scindia will on will be flagging off Akasha's Air First commercial flight that will operate on Mumbai-Ahmedabad route.
There is a joke in Pakistan. They say that whenever America gives aid to Pakistan, whenever there are dollars flowing, or whenever America gives any sort of help, when Saudi Arabia, when China, when the UAE gives Pakistan aid or loans, the property prices in London and Dubai go up. That is the level of corruption of Pakistan. So what has happened in the recent past is those dollars have dried up. Today, as I speak to you, the Pakistani rupee is trading 250 to the US dollar. And today, Pakistan is unable, absolutely, to take advantage of its geopolitical location, the geopolitical rent, as I would like to put it.
You're watching Live and Breaking, and a massive landslide occurred in Uttarakhand's Champawat. The landslide, the video of which has gone viral on social media, has blocked the Champawat-Amrohi National Highway 9, triggering rescue and relief operations. We are on the story. Here's a short report.
A massive landslide in Uttarakhand's Champawat blocked National Highway number 9 due to landslide. The commuters travelling on the National Highway had a narrow escape when the landslide occurred. Locals and tourists were also seen rushing back as a huge part of the hill came down, bringing with it, triggering massive rescue operations. As a result of the landslide, several vehicles and commuters were left stranded behind. This comes merely days after another fatal landslide was reported in the area. Furthermore, IMD has predicted heavy rainfall in the hill state for the next few days. Bureau Report, Republic TV.
And getting in visuals from Jammu and Kashmir's Rajouri, where women were seen crossing a river to reach safe help group centers to make tirangas as part of the Har Ghar Tiranga campaign. Here's more.
Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Plus 5 seconds.
Stop, normal. Even tracking.
In a shocking incident, a speeding bolero crushed an elderly man last night at Azad Chowk in Chhindwara, and reports suggest while the elderly man died at the spot, 5 others were critically injured. In yet another shocking video making rounds on social media, a young man was stabbed and his wife was brutally thrashed by unknown miscreants over a car parking issue at Vegetable Market near Birla Nagar Bridge. Police have informed that the injured have been moved to a hospital and investigation has been launched to nab the accused. A dhaba operator employees thrashed Kanwarias over the bathing issue, and police have registered a case at the Simrol police station and investigation too has been launched.
There is a joke in Pakistan and they say that whenever America gives aid to Pakistan, whenever there are dollars flowing or whenever America gives any sort of help, when Saudi Arabia, when China, when the UAE gives Pakistan aid or loans, the property prices in London and Dubai go up. That is the level of corruption of Pakistan. So what has happened in the recent past is those dollars have dried up. Today as I speak to you, the Pakistani rupee is trading 250 to the US dollar. And today Pakistan is unable absolutely to take advantage of its geopolitical location, the geopolitical rent, as I would like to put it.
ISRO today will launch its smallest commercial rocket, small satellite launch vehicle to